CoCoTALK is an unscripted live broadcast. Anything can and will happen. The views and opinions expressed by members of the panel and the live audience are their own and not necessarily those of the CoCoTALK show, its sponsors, affiliates, or subsidiaries. Open minds encouraged, sense of humor recommended. If any off-color comments were made, we're sorry.
Hi, this is Dale Lear, designer of TRS 80 Color Baseball, and you're listening to CoCoTALK.
This is CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer. It's time to drop your socks and grab your real-time clocks, and let's rock.
CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world, keeping the Tandy flame alive. We may be mocked, but we'll never stop, cause CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world.
Oh yeah, we're here. CoCoTALK episode 140, rocking the 8-bit world, wrapping up 2019. And what are we going to talk about this week, boys and girls? Probably something to do with the Coco. What do you think?
CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world, keeping the Tandy flame alive. We may be mocked, but we'll never stop, cause CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world.
All right, we're here. Fred Dufois has joined us on Facebook Live and in YouTube. We got all kinds of people out here. We got Matchy Games, Curtis Boyle, Mark O555 Robotics, and Mark Overholzer, and Mark B, and Nick Marotta, and Ben Drakes. So we've already got 10 people watching us live on YouTube, and the show just started. We've got a panel of people who I will try to introduce in no particular order other than, how about we start with the host of last week's show, Rob Inman. How you doing, Rob?
Good morning, everybody. I'm here to answer all of Richard Lorbieski's complaints in real time.
you're the complaint RMA department. So perfect.
That's right.
Excellent.
He sounds like God.
So Rob Inman is here, also helping us host and provide color commentary to last week's show was Nick Marotta. Nick Marotta, how are you, Nick?
Hello, nice to see you all. And Rob, I'm glad you're here because I discovered reason number 2 why a Coco 2 is not quite enough. And that would be
yes, well, it is never enough.
That would be the RGB patched version of Buzzard Bait, my all-time favorite game.
Oh, I'm not even familiar with that one.
Yeah, it's not on the standard SD card image. You have to search elsewhere. And there's been a few games that have been converted to use RGB patching for Coco 3, so you get better colors.
Okay, well, that's just far out.
Obviously, Buzzard Bait was one of them.
Speaking of far out, this guy's got enough stuff behind him to give a computer a seizure. But coming to us from Mission Control and somewhere deep inside the Matrix, David O'Connor. G'day.
Hey, everybody. G'day. How you all doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good. We've just been joined by Retro Innovations. Retro Innovations says, oh, look, Ben has the nicest picture on the panel. That's good to know. So let's jump down to Ben. Is that Ben Drakes from Explore VR? Are you with us, Ben?
Yes, I'm with you all. I had a great Christmas. I hope you all did too.
Excellent. Well, thanks for joining us. I do have your game, which we can hopefully show in our Game On segment today. If you can tell me how to play it, and hopefully I can get past level 1. That'll be good. So welcome, Ben. Because I'm going in completely random order, I'm not sure who I've spoken to or who I haven't spoken to yet, but I know who I'm going to speak to next. It's a guy who gets things, and a lot of times they're books. You know who I'm talking about. We're talking about Brian Weasler. Hello, Brian.
Hello. Welcome.
Welcome to the program. Glad to have you on again, our last show of the year. Good to be here. The guy's rocking New Year's Eve. He's like the Dick Clark of CoCoTALK. We're talking about Terry Steggy. What's going on there, Terry?
Hey guys, how's everybody doing?
We're doing good. Above Terry, He's got an apple in the background, and nobody's perfect, but we let him on the show anyways. Mark D. Overholzer.
Thank you. I'm running Alien Downpour from Michael Packard, released a couple years ago.
Excellent. And speaking of Apple, he works for Apple. And now that the cat is out of the bag and the gifts are unwrapped, he helped me get Christmas gifts for my kid using his employee discount. John Lowry is with us. Hey, John.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. The girls loved their stuff, so thank you.
That's good to hear.
My oldest daughter got the latest, greatest Apple Watch version 5 or whatever, Apple Watch 5 with the big mega screen on it. And my youngest daughter got the wireless ear pods or whatever the heck they're called. So John hooked us up. My Santa's little helper. Thank you, John.
You're most welcome.
We have one of the most artistic members of our community, and that would be Ron Delvaux. How are you there, Ron?
Hello, everybody. I'm here with my TDP 100 and my Color Computer 3.
Excellent. One of the most Australian members of our community, Nick Marentes. Good day.
Good day, everyone. Yep. Merry Christmas, and soon to be a Happy New Year, I guess.
Absolutely. You're in the future. You might already be in the new year. What's it like?
Not quite. Yeah.
He's not a Canadian, but he lives in a city that sounds like one. Jason, the Coco Man Riker's with us.
CoCoTALK. Wash with light colors, do not bleach, tumble low dry.
So how many Canadian Christmas cards have you gotten now?
2 misdirected Christmas cards and a for real Christmas card from Mr. David Ladd.
David Ladd. I got a David Ladd Christmas card too. It's right above my fireplace. We don't have fireplaces in Florida. That was the joke.
Oh, I thought it was either that or it was in the basement.
Yeah, in the basement. It's in the basement fireplace. Yes, right next to the furnace. James Dippendapper is with us, the guy who made my head explode. We can never live that one down. How you doing there, James?
I came to chew bubble gum and cause rage quits, and I'm all out of bubble gum.
A guy who's not known for having much enthusiasm, especially during his introduction, but he's here. He's wearing a tie.
That's why I got to turn the volume down now.
Yeah. Sir David Ladd, how are you today, sir?
Oh, I'm doing great, and everybody that knows how my week's been going, I've been playing with the Grease Weasel like crazy, doing floppy stuff, and it's just been an exciting week. And Curtis has got some nifty stuff that I've been tinkering with from Nitrous 9 that he's been fixing. Oh, I've just been in heaven. Oh yeah.
It was a good Christmas, in other words.
Way to drag me into it, David.
So, in other words, a very subdued David Ladd.
Very subdued David Ladd. He's on his meds. So, yeah. Excellent. And I believe last, but certainly not least, the creator of Digger 3, hottest new game to the color computer next to Gunstar. Chet Simpson's in the house. Hello, Chet.
Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. How's everybody doing today?
Doing good.
Very good.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Chris Poacher has joined us from Facebook. I believe Chris Poacher is in the UK. Maybe one of Ben's neighbors. Say hi to your neighbor, Ben Drakes. Chris Poacher is one of the Dragon guys, right? He has the group with the micro deal and everything else. I'm thinking of Chris correctly. Hey, Chris.
It's a pretty cool guy.
Oh, absolutely.
He's a cool guy.
And Retro Innovation says, hey, it's Nick Mayonnaise. Nick Mayonnaise. Hey, that's a good name for him now, Nick Mayonnaise, right? So, and Rob Inman says, like a Star Wars on Laserdisc viewing at Jim Brain's house, CoCoTALK will feature subpar resolution, obsolete technology, and endless running time that will satisfy no one. All right.
But Han will shoot first.
All right. Han shoots first, yes.
I would like to point one thing out before we go on. All misdirected mail that was sent to me was returned to the post office to be delivered to the intended recipients.
Thank you.
The intended country.
Yes, that would be nice for it to go to Canada instead of the United States. So yes, that was one of the wrong.
Christmas was saved.
All right. Well, we've done
Jim
our
Brain's latest comment, CoCoTALK, the fastest way to view adult nerds in their natural habitats.
In just under 10 minutes, we've been able to introduce the panel. So I think we're getting better.
A new record.
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll see you next week then, eh?
Yes. So
that's it for the show today.
That's it.
Roll the credits.
Goodbye. See you later.
Press the button, Frank. Dave's Hobbies says, hello, everyone. I wonder if Dave's hobbies include greasing a weasel. So Dave's Hobbies is out there. We are going to talk about things today. Do we have an actual main topic to talk about? Are we just going to jump into news and
Thought it's end of the year.
End of the year. How about we do that? That'll be our discussion before we get into other things. And so what we want to do.
So glad we plan these things in advance.
You know what we do? We do. This is it. This is.
We plan them just poorly.
Spontaneity is our key.
What? When did we start planning these?
Exactly.
Some call it lack of planning. Some call it spontaneity.
So I came up with the idea a couple days ago, and I posted it in the Discord channel that we should probably have like a celebration. I don't want to call it an award show because that's kind of cheesy, and it's also very subjective. You know, saying if you say someone else is the best, you know, that's all kind of speculative, but more of a celebration. So we kind of want to celebrate the people of our community. And when we say the Coco community, of course, we also say the Dragon and MC10. And I just want to put together a presentation and just thank everybody who's done something this past year. Obviously, there's certain names that come to mind like Ed Snyder and this person and that person, but there's so many people who've done so many things. Doesn't matter how big or how small your contribution. What we're calling for is just send us a list of people. And if you are one of those peoples, if you have done something this past year, it doesn't matter how big or how small it is, just send us an email and just say, yeah, my name is Bob, and you know, I did this, that, and the other. And if you have a little picture, send us a picture of yourself or whatever, because I want to put together like a little slideshow presentation of all the different people and projects that have happened this past year, and we want to kind of celebrate that. And we'll do it. We'll run it next week because I kind of put out the call for action only a couple days ago in Discord. I'm now putting out the call on Facebook and on this show. So maybe we'll shoot out a message to the mailing list too. So what we're asking for is if you are a person who has created anything for the Coco community this past year, send us your name, a picture of yourself if you want to show us your picture, and maybe a list of some of the things you've done, and we will feature you. If you are a person who's listening to us and you have not created anything, just send us a list of the people you can think of, because so many people have done so many things. It's gonna be hard to remember everyone and everything because so much stuff has happened, which is a good problem to have, but it's unfortunate when we forget to give thanks to, you know, all those people. So we're asking for that collective input on all the stuff and people and projects and hardware and software and ideas and pictures, even pictures, you know, like Ron Delvaux has done thousands of pictures. So obviously he's going to make the list. You get what I'm saying, right? Have I said it enough? Do we need to add to that?
You know what you've done.
You know what
you've done.
Yes.
That also spreads the blame if we do forget somebody. We say, well, the entire community forgot. So
yes,
I mean, it's not our fault.
And I would like to go ahead right now and nominate Nick Marotta for best playing of a ukulele on the show that costs more than $5.
There you go. There you go. Oh, William Culver, our arcade buddy.
I'll second that.
Hey, William. William on Facebook says 2019 was a great year. Thanks for having me on the show that talked about Vectrex, and I'm looking forward to more CoCoTALK in 2020. Thanks, William Culver. Tim Franklin out there. Tim Franklin says, irony, watching CoCoTALK live while drinking a cup of cocoa. That is ironic. And Terry Steen says hi on YouTube. All right. So call to action on that. But while we're doing that, do we want to brainstorm? I know we've started a list and we've checked it twice, and that list is going on in the CoCoTALK lobby right now in Discord. So there are certain names that obviously come to mind, you know, Ed Snyder, you know, all of our hardware guys, Cloud9, and Richard Lorbieski and Jason Reichard. Who else does hardware? John Strong, 3D printed cases. What else in the hardware category?
David Ladd.
David Ladd with his joystick adapter and his
David Ladd.
Sheldon McDonald's been doing a lot of little projects on the
Sheldon
Facebook,
McDonald
like
with his
joysticks
3D printed joysticks, you know. Is Sheldon also the one who's been experimenting with the various sound chips and writing the software to play the music in the background?
Yeah, I think it was.
You know, there's so many things. It's hard to keep track.
Paul Barton, who's joined the panel, I mean, he's done a lot of stuff in the past, and he's been kind of getting back into it again with
Absolutely.
boards.
Yay, Paul!
Paul Barton is here. So yeah, so we're looking for that list. And I want to try to put it together in a nice little presentation where we can run it as like a slideshow of just basically kind of thanking and celebrating everybody for all the things they've done. You know, I thought it'd be a nice way to kind of wrap up this year and start next year by kicking off with just a big celebration, community celebration. All right. So,
I want to thank D. Bruce Moore for the
absolutely
personalized card I got.
Oh, did you get a Joey and Coco card?
That was awesome.
Yep, I did as well.
Yeah.
Yes, that was very cool.
Yes. I thanked him.
I was even thinking that, you know, again, this is not trying to be an award show for the best of this or the best of that, but if we should probably pick some categories just to put people in, you know, hardware, software, and a category that almost is defined by a single individual would be mixed media. You know, Bruce Moore is the king of mixed media, where he has done his first project, Forest of Doom, was a combination of a book, software package, and musical track. You know, you're covering 3 medias right there. You look at Coco Forever, which is a mixture of audio drama, video content, digital media like PDF files and document files, and software, you know, mixing all those medias. And then you're looking at Joey and Coco, which is a digital comic strip, and the System Hacked, which is an audio book with bonus audio-visual content, or not audio book, but a digital book, like what do you call those? The Kindles, the ebooks, right? So System Hacked is an ebook he's put out about hackers and freakers, and that's got mixed media content. So yeah, definitely, if there was a king of all media in the Coco world, that would definitely be DeBruce Moore. What else are we thinking? We got.
Well, the guy that helped Nitrous 9 push right along, Mr. Nick Marentes.
Nick Marentes in all of his innovative development in
Trolling.
Nitrous 9.
I mean, yeah.
Trash can.
I tried to push it down, not up.
He's trying to push it down. Yeah.
Well, when it's pushing down there, it's pushing up here.
Yeah.
It backfired on you.
Uh-oh.
Went all upside down on you.
Yeah. So, so yeah, just put your thinking caps on. And the best thing is I know maybe it sounds self-indulgent, but the best people to tell us what we've done are the people who've done it, right? So don't think you're being a narcissist by submitting yourself for us to put you on our list. We need that. I'm asking for that. So by all means, please. Amigos Retro Gaming has joined us and said, "Good afternoon, y'all." All right.
That sounds like Aaron to me.
He just got Southern, y'all. Now the pluralization of that is y'allses, right? So good afternoon, y'alls, or is it just y'alls?
Well, they are in West Virginia, aren't they?
Actually, it's all y'all.
All you alls.
if we have a list of all the greatness that we have,
yeah,
we're not going to have a negative list, are we?
It is. Is there anything negative? There's nothing negative. No,
that's right.
This is a celebration of the year in Coco. So
the Coco
Thoughts,
the Coco Thoughts, yeah,
and maybe Nightmare Highway.
Samuel Gimes, Nightmare Highway, yeah. Anything produced by Ken Reichert. D. Bruce Moore.
I would really like it if we refrain from focusing on anything negative. This is supposed to be a community uplifting
celebration,
each other, not bringing it down.
Hey, he self-deprecates. Nightmare Highway is actually.
I have often self-defecated.
That comes under information.
Oh, there goes the family-friendly tag again.
Go down, Lefty.
Yeah. I am upset.
Depends.
The latest product from Coco Man only includes two switches. That's not enough.
Well, listen, 2020 is another year. We might have triples.
Stop being negative, Rob.
Yeah.
2020 could be the year of the toggle switch. Who knows?
Well, Ron asked a question. So I think it's probably worth mentioning, because I don't think that we mention this, and maybe it's subconscious or unconscious or implied or assumed, but we don't necessarily specify the purpose and intent of the show. I think you realize this is a show geared towards the community, for the community, but I think it goes without saying that we typically try to focus on everything we do being positive, right? I mean, this is a show where we celebrate the community and the people in the community.
And all the new people that come in, we try to help them by showing them what to get, what to have,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. So to
basically hook them up.
to dwell on negativity or to spend any time talking about anything negative is just not a good use of anyone's time. And for the most part, it has not been a focus of this show. Yeah. Now, I know in the past, words were said that were not always positive, and we've kind of addressed that, we're saying, listen, I know people have said some things, but that's not what we want the show to be about. So, nobody's perfect. It is live, but yeah, this show is meant to be a positive show. And so this whole celebration thing, that's why I want to avoid it being like a contest or an award show or the best of, because that's kind of douchey. It's really just about celebrating and recognizing, because it's the recognition.
Well, the thing in the beginning of our show fixes everything. It says, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're sorry. Yeah. So we're sorry. All right. So have we beat that to death? That's what we're looking for. Everybody submit who and what and where and we should talk about, and we'll try to put that together and make a nice presentation for next year's show, which will be our first show of 2020. We want to celebrate and recognize and applaud the people who have contributed to the community this year.
And you're saying this because we want to have 2020.
You lost me.
Yeah, vision.
We want to see things 2020.
Ah, yes, 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Don't forget, guys, that's MAROTTA. 2 T's.
And it's Delvo, not Deluxe.
Deluxe, Ron Deluxe. It's like
that sounds sorry, like Ron. Your jokes are just too highbrow for me. I didn't get that.
Yes, nobody gets them.
All right.
The Delvo Deluxe.
I'm already
coming
tired of the
soon from
2020
Ron
jokes.
Tune in next week.
Now we have.
I'd like to nominate all the Coco Cats for their timely and insightful comments throughout the year.
Oh yes,
Meow.
If there was
David O'Connor's cat would win though.
Oh, the Coco
Cat. Very vocal. Rocky's usually pretty
He's
quiet.
And Marco's cat's tail that we see a lot.
I think if we were
It's
to
nice and
there's a cat attached to the tail. Cool.
he's really quiet until the show starts. Then he decides he's going to get into have a meow fest.
Yeah, but to answer Ron's questions, keeping things positive and humorous, we could possibly have some awards for the best of or the worst of. Things that like what Jason was saying. The award for the best use of a ukulele that costs more than $5. When there's only one person who does it, it's kind of okay to say, you won the award of blank.
Yeah, but Jason has a ukulele, but it's worth less.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. That's the point.
That's the irony of it. Right? It's meant to be ironic.
It sounds best under a car tire being driven.
So yeah, we could probably come up with some topics like that, like the award for the best game featuring Rogue furniture, things like that. So yeah, we might be able to find some, or the worst game featuring furniture, something like that, right? So once we get all the information in, you know what I'm saying. Anyways, all right. So are we moving on?
Yeah. So send those suggestions either through Discord or to our email address, which is Stevie
CoCoTalk@CoCoTalk.live for all your email pleasure. Okay.
I'm glad you said that, Stevie. I'm glad you clarified.
You glad what now?
I'm glad you clarified that. We're trying to be making a nice, positive, wonderful community here, which I really appreciated over this last year.
I feel very positive about how many people we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have about what's this? What's 4 times 4? 16?
17.
There's 17.
Okay.
17,
I
including
feel
you.
positive about at least 8 people on this panel right now. So.
That is a pretty good average.
Is that me?
Did we have 51 shows this year?
Did we have
and
what
he's
now?
muted all the rest. We'll never hear them anyway. So
This year of 2019, did we have 51 shows?
I think we skipped one this year.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. We'd have to count that. We can go back and look at that.
Well, just think of how many we
I
skipped.
don't remember
We skipped
missing
one.
any.
Well, as far as actual episodes, you maybe, but we have so many bonus shows too. Like when we do a VCF show, we end up doing like 3 or 4 shows that weekend, and we've had a few programming chit chats and stuff like that. So
it's well over 50,
we've definitely
too.
done more than 50 some odd broadcasts this year for sure. But as far as actual episodes, I'd have to do the math, and I'm not good at math.
Yeah, and I'm sure if you ask people like Jim Brain, it probably feels like hundreds.
Math is pretty amazing. If you think of it, we've been able to come up with topics and things and be able to laugh and poke fun at each other, and we're still here.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
Absolutely. Keeping the flame alive. Hey, Paul Shoemaker has joined us. Hey, Paul.
Hey, guys.
Speaking of people who have done things for the Coco this year, Paul has done a thing or two. Paul, listen, you know what? I'm glad you're here because I wanted to remind you or tell you about something, but then I forgot. You know that thing you did with the Coco 2 with the line art and it breaks it out? The poster you did? The Coco 2 assembly? I found one of the Coco 3. It's in a PDF document. It's probably not super clean. But I found it, and as soon as I found it, I'm like, I need to send this to Paul, and of course I forgot to do it, and it's been God knows how long. But I wanted you to have that and see if you can extrapolate it and maybe make your Coco 3 version of that. It was in a PDF file that I found on the archive that somebody wrote like a self-published book on the history of the Coco. This is not like the Boise book with some other person. I don't remember.
Mike Swiggert's?
Maybe, yeah. And so I found it, and in there was a black and white, like kind of line art breakout of a Coco 3. I'm not sure what the resolution is and all that kind of stuff, but it's probably a good starting point for you. So,
sounds good. Yeah, send it to me.
So will remind me because I've already forgotten. So
I'll try to remember to remind you, but no promises.
Don't forget to remind me to send it to you. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try to remember to remind you to remind him.
Exactly.
Oh, perfect.
Somebody.
We can't go wrong.
There's a whole bunch of people here, so somebody help me.
Let's get all the Siri's, Alexas, and Google Homes going.
Absolutely. Now, maybe we should bring up one more discussion topic, which kind of came up after last week's show, which, by the way, great job again, guys. Rob Inman and everybody, right? So, and Nick Marotta and Mark Overholzer as the producer, keeping things moving. I think this is so great that we have this whole collection of people and we all kind of just always make it happen all the time. But after the show, we had a lot of kind of feedback in Discord from ourselves. We kind of self-medicate and self-regulate and counsel and critique ourselves. And the discussion really got in heavy into the news, about last week's news segment or just the news in general. And if you've been watching us for a while, you know we always try to cover what we'll just say loosely is, I'll use air quotes here. We try to cover quote unquote news on a weekly basis. And a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, we made a conscious effort to say, you know what, news is always left for last. We're always rushing it. So why don't we make news our main thrust of the show and make everything else follow news? That way it gets its proper airtime and we're not rushing through it. And I think that's worked out pretty well. Curtis has been the one-man person responsible for that. He's been curating the content and kind of hosting and anchoring that content. And I certainly appreciate him doing it. And I think the show has gotten better. That segment's gotten better since he's done it.
Is there a butt coming?
Well,
that's what I was waiting. I'm going to get fired.
Because some of the contents were there. A bunch of comments came up, so are just notes on that. So I'll just throw some of them out there. Like some of the things said was, well, is it really news if it's already on the internet? If all you're doing is scraping what's on Facebook and rehashing what's on Facebook, are you really providing news? That was one of the comments. Another comment was, maybe things are dragging on too long, or if you're just showing a video, maybe the video is too long. So it's just all feedback and critiques, and we ask for that. We ask for people to give us feedbacks. Not only that, but we're also kind of critiquing ourselves internally about this, or asking the questions or bringing things up. So on that note, we have a panel here to talk about it, and we have 30 some odd people in YouTube watching us. I would love for people to weigh in and tell us what you guys think about what we cover in the news, and is there too much of this or not enough of that? Just some real-time discussion on that. So anybody want to chime in on that?
I have a few thoughts on that because I'm the one hosting it usually.
All right, Curtis.
Yeah, we do have to cut some of the videos short, and I've been trying to do that. And I mean, obviously, Rob, I didn't tell him about any of that ahead of time, so he was waiting for some feedback because there's some things that are just meant to be reported, and that's it. There's no discussion required.
Sure.
The other thing is that we're talking about splitting off some of the gameplay videos, which aren't really news. I mean, there might be news to Coco people, which is why I started bringing them up of some Dragon games that none of us have seen before. but we're going to move those into the Game On segment, I think, starting today,
Mhm.
so that people who just want news can get the news, and anybody who's interested in the game stuff can get that. They get them separately. They don't have to watch both parts. Other than that, I guess from some of the other comments, I mean, pacing is something we just have to learn as we go, and especially when we have guest hosts, that will change somewhat. So that's
Mhm.
just, a live and learn thing, and you get better as you go. As you mentioned, I think I've tightened it up a bit since I started too. As far as scraping, I mean, the biggest thing, and I think I mentioned this in the chat last week because I wasn't on the actual show, is the fact that a lot of people in the Coco community don't get all of the various social medias. They don't do Facebook and the list and YouTube, et cetera, and
Sure.
Discord. There's a lot of people that don't have all those. So any of the news that happens there in a particular spot that they're not on, they will never hear about unless we mention it. They won't have a clue it even happened.
Right.
So for me, that is required that we do that type of news segment so that everybody gets everything.
Right.
Yeah, I'll second that. I mean, every time I would say I have seen a little bit of what we cover, and I haven't seen most of what you guys cover, just for that reason. So I think the content that you guys cover in the news is really informative, helpful, and interesting.
And also, I follow Facebook pretty closely, and I usually catch everything, but not always. And sometimes Curtis will bring something up, and I'll be like, "Oh, I missed that," or he'll cover something that I kind of glossed over and didn't pay that close attention to. But because Curtis brought it up and said, "Hey, check this out," blah blah blah, I got me interested in it, and I go back and look at it. So even though I've seen a lot of what he's presented, I still enjoy that segment immensely. It's one of my favorite parts of the show.
The other thing is, even if you've seen it, it's almost, and especially if you're on the panel or if you're in the chat, if you've seen it, then you might have had to have some thoughts on it. So, it's both to let you know about news that you've already that you haven't seen, but also news that you have seen and you might have had some thoughts on, so that the panel and the people in the chat can participate.
I don't think it's mandatory for every story, but yes, I mean, if the opportunity presents itself and somebody has a comment, they should definitely come forward with it, and then we can have a little discussion on it.
Yeah. Tim Franklin saying, I think the news should have an impeachment segment.
I think it should not.
No, that's just pandering for rating.
Yeah.
I was just trying to light the dumpster fires.
It's a valid point. If all we were doing was just doing an audiobook version of Facebook and just strictly reading what was on Facebook, that would be one thing. But I think we are trying to do some value add by hopefully having a discussion at the same time, where you're not just reading things off. And not everything is going to trigger people a response in somebody too. I know there was a handful of crickets moments on the news last week where Rob would report something and he's like, "Help me out here, guys. You got anything to say?" And we kind of have to do that, right? We have to remember that this is a show and people are watching, and dead air is not good for content. But if you got nothing, you got nothing. How can I react if nothing has moved me? So that's going to happen. But
even if somebody had commented these are terrible news segments, we could have had a whole...
Well, that happened after the show, right? So
I don't think there were terrible news segments.
No, not at all.
Some invite discussion, some don't. Just like news on TV does. Or sometimes it's just the news is the news, and that there's nothing to add.
Is. But is it quote unquote news when you're reporting something that's from another source? I would say 100% yes, because there isn't a news outlet out there that isn't just rehashing something, unless you're like CBS Live News and you're catching the OJ chase scene as it happens, and this is literally live stuff. It's impossible to be a news anything and not just be rehashing something that the news is reporting something that's happened. And
we're news aggregators. What we are.
It's what it is. It's curated content with hopefully, when applicable and when available, value-added content and discussions. Like not everybody reads Facebook. Not everybody's on top of Facebook. I think Curtis has done a great job bringing in a lot of diversity. It's not been strictly just Facebook. He's finding things on YouTube that people I don't subscribe to. He's bringing a lot of Dragon games. I actually like seeing the Dragon stuff and seeing games I haven't seen before. So I found that to be great for me.
And I'll just say MC10 at this point.
MC10 content, Jim Gary
Yeah,
content.
no, I'm bringing a lot of the Jim Gary stuff. I'm
Yeah.
going to move those to the Game On segment because I think that is more appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, one good
But-
suggestion was, and I think that might have been Nick Marentes. And by the way, Nick Marentes has had a lot of good suggestions that have helped this show.
He doesn't say a word during the show, but
Yeah.
he has a lot of great suggestions
Yeah.
after the show.
So Nick, because we do have a segment that we call Game On, where we're going to talk about gaming stuff. So rather than mixing game stuff in the news, we're going to move it to a Game On segment.
Now, game announcements, like if a new game gets released or something like that,
that's
or there's
news.
a huge patch, that's
Yeah.
news. But as far as picking like old Dragon games or ports from other computers and stuff that are a little bit older, then we'll probably put that in the Game On segment instead.
Mm-hmm. Let's see what's going on here in the live chat. As we're talking, other people are also chatting. So we've had Tim Franklin says we should have an impeachment. We covered that. Mark Overholzer says we're not that desperate for ratings. James Jones says, of course, the way to avoid dead air on
And the like is to not do it live. Not sure you'd want to do that though. No, I think live is actually one of the key parts.
you mean like pre-recording the news, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Pre-record. There are lots of benefits to pre-recording because you can edit and you can polish it and get it just right. But that's not our show.
When you pre-record, it's like you're reading from a thing. Sometimes when you read, it's a little monotone.
You lose spontaneity and you lose the reactions of the panel members, reaction of the people on YouTube and Facebook chat. To respond to the topics, you would lose all of that because it would be just...
But I mean if we were looking for perfection, we would probably take the show seriously.
What I have to say means things.
That's
like I told James on the YouTube, it's important. What we do is I mean, we do this because it's like a user group. We get to interact.
Right.
Yeah. People present stuff.
Speaking of,
and that's what makes our show unique is the fact that we're an interactive show, either through chat or through live panel. That is our differentiating factor. You lose that, and we're no different
than any of the other podcasts out there.
Yeah. This is what makes us special.
Well, everybody finds their niche, right? Like everybody finds what they want to do.
We're very special.
Every episode of CoCoTALK is like a snowflake. It's unique, and no two are the same. So.
Oh God!
And it melts under a dumpster fire, so it's just perfect description.
Yes.
Chris, as long as we're not special snowflakes.
Don't eat the yellow snow.
Speaking of dragon content, Chris Poacher says you need to try Richard Harding's new dragon game called Tank Commander. Jim Gary is out there. Jim says hi. Hey, Jim. But this is the thing. This is what we ask for. We ask for feedback, and we're getting it, and it's helpful because a lot of this feedback has helped mold the show and shape the show and hopefully improve the show.
And Steve, as a dictator, you can take all this in and then just go ahead and do what you're going to do anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't impeach a dictator, so we're stuck with it.
Thank you very much.
Well, the other thing
We're all
besides our
living
show
in
being
North
spontaneous
Korea.
and live is that we actually evolve. Like we don't just pick one format and we're going to stick with it for the rest of the time.
Right.
We will actually adapt and change as conditions change.
A living organism.
Living organism. Yes. Very cool.
A little fire.
So keep those suggestions coming. Keep that feedback coming. Believe it or not, some of the most critical input we're getting on the show are coming from the kind of the inner circle. We're definitely critiquing ourselves and offering each other counsel on what to do and what not to do and stuff like that. So we have been very internally kind of self-regulating and self-correcting. So which makes me, I can't be more proud of that it's not people just showing up to talk. There are people who are collectively thinking about, well, maybe we could do this or maybe we could do that. And there's a lot of this kind of collectiveness where people are saying, gosh, we can make this better. And when you have a bunch of people who don't just get together, but they want to get together to make things as best they can, that's really electrifying for me. I know in the early days, it just felt like that. It just felt like, we're just getting together and we're just talking. And there's nothing wrong with that. But as time has gone on, Steve Bjork was one of the people that started saying, we could really polish this up and tighten this up and do this and do that. And we all started having these conversations on what can we do to, even though it's not a professional show, we can make it a little bit more professional-ish. So those those internal things are always going on, and we also want external input on that too. Because it's the
Well, there's one
audience.
thing that I've usually thought about while everybody's talking, and that was that maybe every so often we should say color computer, or at least show one on the screen somewhere at some time. Because
so we know it's
after a while, we're talking about C64s and everything else, and not exactly what we're doing here.
We love all things retro.
Color computer.
Well, let's do this. It's been 40 minutes.
There's one.
It's been 40 minutes, and we haven't really gotten to any show part of the show yet. But since we've got the entire panel here, I'm going to run a commercial segment. Not all the commercials in here are new, but there is there's a bumper that's in here that is new. And this is a bumper from an actual celebrity, an Australian celebrity that's probably a neighbor of maybe Nick or David O'Connor, or maybe both of you. So we're going to run this new commercial block that features a brand new bumper, and then we'll be back after these words.
And now a word from our sponsors. It's a Radio Shack Merry Christmas.
This year, I needed to give a real family pleaser.
Honey, please help me with this budget.
How about a new game, Dad? Please.
And I found it. Radio Shack's Color Computer 2. On sale for just $99.95. It entertains, educates, manages, it's expandable, and affordable. Now that really pleases me.
The Color Computer 2. Sale priced for Christmas. Only at Radio Shack.
Hi, this is Antonio Jimenez, author of such projects such as the Stevie Throw Devil and the SD Pack, and you are watching CoCoTALK. 3, 2, go.
Very scared you, didn't I? Hello there, it's me, Simone, and I'm here to say a big hello to original gamer Stevie Throw. I don't know if that's how you pronounce your name, but I tried regardless. So if it's not, please insert the proper way to say it now. Now, I hope you're having a fabulous time. Hope you're having a fabulous new year. Season's greetings, all the above. All the way from Melbourne to you, my darling. And congratulations on your talk show, CoCoTALK. Oh my God, that's so exciting. I don't think I'd ever be good at a talk show. I just don't have anything ever to say, ever. Just can never think of things to say. It's just no words ever come out of my mouth. It's just very embarrassing. It's just silence all the time. My darling, I hope you're having a fabulous day. From me to you, bye.
Radio Shack, America's technology store.
Right! This Christmas, Tandy has a very special offer. A family color computer pack to take away at a very special price. This family computer comes complete with software and costs an incredible $449, a saving of $241.69. It's powerful, educational, and ideal for the young and young at heart. The easy way to start computing. The Color Computer Family Pack from Tandy. Get it while it's hot. Tandy, the biggest electronics store in Australia.
Hi, this is Sean Wheatley, and you're listening to CoCoTALK with the original gamer, Stevie Throw.
We're traveling through a dimension both of sound and ideas. We're at a place where the mind can comprehend and devise a solar radio, a wireless transmitter, measure time and light. 65 electronic projects brought to reality with this science fair kit. Astonishing? Perhaps, but you can find it for Christmas for $17.95 in a place that's known as Radio Shack.
Radios, stereos, recorders, everything in sound.
All right, and we're back. So did you guys recognize that Australian celebrity?
Hey, it was my mum.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I've never seen Nick and Drag before. But
So that was that was Art Simone, who's supposedly like the Australian drag queen of the year or something like that. So the funny thing is, so there's this website you can go to. It's called Cameo, where you can get celebrities to do to record videos for you, like
Personalized video.
Yeah, personalized video. So my friend told me about this. We were going through this one. I should have recorded this because we're sitting here on the phone together, going through Cameo, looking at all these D-list celebrities and stuff, and then I'm like, you know what I want to do? I want to troll David Ladd. I want to get some type of drag queen to come on and say something like, "Hi, I'm just, I'm the big fan of David Ladd," or something like that. So I was thinking I was going to do something like that. My friend ends up trolling me with a drag queen video. So I'm just like, all right, I got to air that. So.
Stevie, that's just wrong, Stevie. Stevie, bad, Stevie.
Don't worry, you'll get your drag queen video.
Oh my!
I
in the spirit of feedback being provided by the inner circle, I do have some to provide.
Okay, that is great feedback.
That's yeah. That's what we try and get rid of.
That's good stuff.
I got a notch filter for that.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I got a nacho filter.
We talked
one of those
about,
Behringer ones that tracks it.
I took an Alka-Seltzer. I'll be okay.
There you go. We talked about news. So we
Take
talked
one for
about
me too, Ron.
news. We are inviting more input on things we can always do to improve the news and the content and the shape of the show. But on that note, how about we go ahead and jump in and do the actual news? L. Curtis Boyle, are you ready to do your news?
Sure.
All right. Well, we can't, because this is a professional show, we won't start without the news anchor intro produced by Rob Eanman. So here we go. Welcome to CoCoTALK News, where we do nothing but screen scrape Facebook for your listening pleasure. And now your anchor, L. Curtis Boyle. All right, take it away, Curtis.
Please go to facebook.com. Okay, I'm done.
You just undid the whole last hour of the show.
And we're
That was for nothing.
That was news.
We can repeat everything if you like.
Oh, I'm supposed to actually do news now. Okay, sorry.
Sorry?
I've got the right one here because I've got two separate browser windows, one for game.
Hold on, let's start over again.
Yes.
Welcome to the news with L. Curtis. Don't stop sharing, Curtis. I was just doing that because you were not ready.
When does the professional part
I was
start?
trying to cover the dead air part. And here
Obviously not this week.
I think the answer to that is never, but anyway.
Right after the end credits.
Hey, look at this. We're scraping what's on Facebook.
This is CCNN,
Scraping the
Coco
barrel.
News Network.
I like that.
See how good we are after 14 episodes? I mean, 140 episodes?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
God.
14 beer.
We haven't learned anything.
14 episodes or 140. You be the judge.
You be the judge.
It only sounds like we've done 14. That was
All right, so it looks like
There,
we're
there
looking
might be
at a
14
picture.
episodes of usable content, but that's about it. Anyway, let's get on to the news.
On to the news.
So a lot of this is going to be or not a lot, but some of it's going to be Christmas themed because, of course, that's what just passed this past week. So the first one here is Simon Jonason released an update to the spinning Santa graphics demo. We saw this last week where he had the the rotoscoping zooming thing, but he actually added some music, multi-track music playing. So
Bring
that's
it
going
up.
to come through.
Is that Freedom Rock? Make it big, Curtis. Rotox. Is that like the stuff you inject in your lips? Rotox?
It's Roto 10.
I won't play the whole thing, but you guys get the
Sounds
idea.
good. That sounds really good. I
And
love
he's got it
this.
available for download as well, so you can grab it from the Facebook group. Of course, now that you're watching this now, you'll have to wait until next year to properly play it.
I'm still in the spirit. I don't lose my Christmas spirit till at least February. So
That's awesome.
Till the credit card bills roll in.
yeah.
Yeah, then you get into a massive depression.
Reality strikes.
Yeah, I love Simon's sawtooth sound. It's so crunchy. It's so lo-fi. It's so synthy.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like the Coco
And
organ.
the bass is really good too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Stays crunchy, even in milk.
All about that bass, no trouble.
But anyway, yeah, go check it out. You can listen to the full song and the full demo. You can also download the actual disc image to run it on your real Coco 3. So,
thank you, Simon. Simon needs to make that list of people we need to celebrate. He's created lots of content for us, right?
That is true, and he's helped others with other content that was released this year as well. So
he has, yeah.
Thank you, Curtis, for that Facebook scrape.
You're welcome. Next is a GitHub scrape.
A GitHub scrape. We should call them not the news, but the scrapes. Welcome to the scrapes.
Scraps and scrapes. That's what we're going to call it from now on. Okay, next up, Bill Pierce released yet another slight revision to VCC. This is 2.0.1E. He released it briefly, and then he had to retract one of the changes because it actually caused some problems that would actually cause it to crash. I think it was when you went to full screen under Windows. So basically, the stuff that has been added since last week, he's added the CCC program pack file extension.
Okay.
He's removed the use keyboard lights as drive indicators and the options for the Tandy Coco Max high-res joystick options, mainly because they were in the menu, but they've never worked. So they've just been there to distract people and get them frustrated. So he just took them out for now.
Okay.
There was a bug on the previous one where some of the foreign special characters on the Gimme 40 and 80 column hardware text screens actually went missing and weren't printing properly. That's been fixed.
Okay.
So now displaying them all again. And there's been some minor cosmetic changes to the GUI stuff itself. So you can go here and grab the latest release, download it, give them some feedback. There's still the 6309 stuff is still fixed from when I tried it.
Okay.
So the EOU's Basic 09 stuff actually runs properly, which it did not on the original versions of VCC. So
in both versions, the previous version of VCC or the new version will run Gunstar.
It will.
No, they both will.
They both will.
Yep. The previous version, if you have it, or the new version, are not affected by the 6309 optimizations.
Okay.
Well, Gunstar's not even out yet.
Right.
Well, I'm just telling the people.
Obviously, Rob knows something the rest of us don't.
Yeah. What are you saying here, buddy?
It's coming
And
soon.
Nick remains silent.
Color
Next up,
computer graphics.
big thank you. This is two other people we can thank actually for this year. Steve Ostrom and Carlos Camachos have taken the book by Ron Clark called Color Computer Graphics. This is one I had not seen before, and have scanned the entire thing in, and it's now in the Color Computer Archive.
Nice.
Oh, cool. That's good.
Has anybody on the panel had a chance to take a look at this book? Is it?
No.
I'm presuming it's basic programming or something, but I haven't had a chance to look.
No.
Scroll up a little.
Yeah, it's just basic programming.
Okay.
How to do
And Coco
color
1 and
video
2, I would
graphics
presume.
with ready-to-run programs by Ron Clark. Okay. No, that's cool.
Yeah, I've never heard of that one. I don't know if that was sold in Radio Shack stores, or if that's a third-party thing or what. But
Does it have a lot of graphs to position stuff?
I have no idea. I haven't actually had a chance to look through it yet, so I'm kind of busy.
Well, it looks like it by the front cover.
Whenever you go
gives
to
that
the
impression, doesn't it?
whenever you go to the Color Computer Archive, there's usually a list of what's new. Right. So when you go to colorcomputerarchive.com, you'll see like recent additions on there. So
Yeah, I think Carlos might have scanned and uploaded this book to the archive not too long ago. I'd been looking for it for a long time, and I ended up finding a live copy. But the other day I was out at the archive, and they had added that one as well. And this is a really great guide for graphics and assembly language for Coco 2.
excellent.
That's cool.
Let's add that to my list. Hold on, and just pause for just a second, because I know Richard just put a comment. I don't know if Richard, if you heard our introduction to this, but we basically discussed on the air what we discussed off the air about the news, and so now we're just kind of joking about it. But Richard made a comment that I'm no longer going to offer constructive criticism. I don't know if he's being sarcastic or if he thinks that we're poking fun at him now. Now we had a serious discussion on it, Richard, and no, we agree that there's ways to do it and ways to improve it. So we've actually had a full discussion, and I'm just being a dick because that's what I do. So it's got nothing about you. It's nothing about Richard. It's all about
like a detective?
My favorite tater. Yes, I'm being a dictator. There was a delay on the tater, but no. But I'm always going to be sarcastic, but that's not meant to.
And Richard did have some good constructive criticism.
Oh, absolutely.
Too, so,
yeah,
we just want to make sure he doesn't think he shouldn't be saying that kind of stuff.
Yes. Cool. All right. So as you were.
On to the next one. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. Is it Tomes or Tomez or something?
Okay,
Trey?
we'll go with Tomes.
Trey Tomes sounds good. He can correct us if I'm wrong. He's working on a semi-language roguelike game as his first major assembly project.
Okay.
And he's got his very first little screen. He's been asking some questions, how do you set the palettes, because he didn't want to have this blue background. He wanted it black, and it looks like he's got that working now too. But he's actually got a WordPress blog started up that you can actually go attend if you click on the link in Facebook.
Okay.
And you can follow his progress as he goes. But it looks pretty good because he's actually making it roguelike. It's not a rogue clone. He's adding some new stuff to it. So it's a different game. So I'm going to keep an eye out for this because I like the rogue
Now,
games.
speaking of roguelike, I don't know if you have this in your news, but I spoke to him yesterday. But Lee Patterson? Do you have
yes, that's coming up.
That's coming up. Okay, good. All right, because him and I spoke, and he was telling me about he's working on something similar. He's going to work on a roguelike project as well.
Oh, I didn't know about the rogue part. I knew about his memory concentration game he posted.
Okay. All right.
Well, when we get to that, you can add to it.
Yes, value added. We
added.
add value to our Facebook scraping.
Yes.
Facebook scraping
Scrape
plus.
twice,
Scrape plus. Are there sofas? Ken wants to know, are there sofas? It's a roguelike sofa game. Okay,
There's
so this is his blog.
Better picture of his layout. He's actually going to have colored windows for different parts of the screen too.
Okay, yeah. So the red areas can be stats. Oh, so this is an 80 column mode.
Yep.
I couldn't tell by the original picture on Facebook. Okay, I see that now. Yeah.
It says, "Welcome to Adventureland. Try not to die."
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Positive feedback, we call
Try
that.
not to die. Very cool. Yeah.
This one I'll let Stevie take on because the new Glenside Coco newsletter was released. Is there anything in particular you want to point out in here, Stevie, or any comments on it?
Well, let's see. So I guess this is my second one, and so it's going on maybe 6 months. And it was during the nominations for elections, or when the elections were announced. John Mark Mobley, who has been handling this publication forever, has become the vice president of Glenside, and so the need for a newsletter editor came up. There was a lot of dead air and crickets when during the call at the meeting. Does anybody like to do this? And so, out of sympathy, I said, "Sure, I'll go ahead and do it." And boy, did I not know what I was getting myself into. But so this is now my second one, and to give all the credit in the world where it's due, the first one that was handed to me was already done. It was handed to me, and it was all massaged by John Mark Mobley and Salvador Garcia. So they sent me 99% of what you saw. Basically, I just did a little bit of reformatting, changed the fonts, and added a little bit of spit shine to it. So I can take next to no credit for the first one I did, which was the previous one. This one again, too. So Bob Swoger sent me a copy that he had already taken the initiative to curate most of the content for me. And I did that, of course, and I reformatted it, and I added some new content. And one of the things that is in here that is exclusive to this episode is an interview with the Nightmare Highway cast and crew. Right, so this is like the news and stuff like that. Some new content here. Pre-registration information, that's new. And then here, an interview with Terry Steen and Ken Reichert, the untold behind-the-scenes story of Nightmare Highway. So that's an interview that's in there. I've also recorded that interview as a video, which I will edit down and will play as a segment on a future episode of CoCoTALK. So cool. That's in there. And some information about the bylaws, which are changing, and things like that. So you might want to check that out. I think there's a link to it on Discord. I've posted it on Facebook. So just pause right there. Okay. You see these images here? This is part of a project. Terry Steggy, are you still there? Terry on the call? Terry was here earlier. But so Terry has started a scanning project where he is scanning some personal back issues of so the publication is called Coco 123, or that's what it's called now. These first two pictures you see there wasn't a name for the newsletter. Like I think we've got volume 1, issue 2 as far back as we have right now that Terry has scanned. And one of the opening statements was, "Hey, what are we going to call this newsletter?" So when it first started, it didn't have a name, right? The third picture down is where you actually see. Scroll down a little bit more, Curtis. See where it says right there, Coco 123. So I think that's the first time that the subtitle showed up. The title Coco 123 showed up, and that was sometime early in 1986. The publication started in 1985. So these are I basically screen scraped some of the banners from some of the early newsletters just to show what things used to look like. And so, yeah, this publication goes back to 1985. So I guess you can go ahead and I think that's about the bulk of it. So then I got some Coco news. And here I do mention the new Coco podcast, the Coco Show. So I mentioned that they're out there. So they're in the newsletter. So this was kind of a holiday theme thing. So I tried to focus on things that happened, like Christmas Rush was released. And the VCC update, Chet Simpson's Digger 3, right? The Roger Taylor's CD made it, and Paul Thayer's Timberman made it, right? In the Coco VGA update. So I tried to squeeze some news in there, calendar of events that Bob Swoger has compiled for us. And there you go. There's the newsletter. So check it out. There's some more. There's Joey and Coco's in there. That's number 2 of Joey and Coco. So we're obviously going to be behind Bruce. And here's some old artwork from an old holiday newsletter from 1986.
This is like a mini Coco Talk right here.
Yeah, right?
In paper.
Yeah, so check it out. Check it out.
Without the bad stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it's a nicely done newsletter.
Thank you. You're too kind. It's definitely a group effort. So everybody's throwing in the content. And another call to action. I put out that call before. Send us stuff to put in the newsletter. Send it to us, right? So please do. And so I put out some last minute calls to get some of this stuff, but I would love more submissions. I think if nothing else, this could evolve to a bigger publication and maybe a more frequent publication, and maybe accidentally become what we were trying to do with the Rainbow, if nothing else, So
I was just going to mention that Rainbow, we've expanded into it.
Yeah, from humble beginnings.
I'll give you a race for your money, though. I am working on the Rainbow.
Yeah, I heard that about a year ago. You are in competition of Jim Brain for the most undelivered product.
At least I made a category.
Right.
Is that one of the product categories we're going to have for our best of the year thing?
No, we're trying to focus on the positive now. Remember that.
Best vaporware of 2019.
I still got a couple days left for that one. I'm going to throw up some videos. I'll win that one.
We need a theme song. Accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative.
Yeah.
Hey, Wayne Campbell spotting in the chat.
Wayne Campbell, yes. And here's Lee Patterson.
Yeah, so I actually, from the sounds of it, Stevie, you're going to have some stuff to add on to this. But Lee Patterson, who, if you may recall, is the guy who did the bouncy ball game and then ported it to Apple TV and iOS and other things too. Started his first Coco 3 game because his previous efforts have been Coco 1 and 2 compatible using the 80-column hardware text mode. So he's doing a memory game based on the Concentrate game.
Wow.
So this video kind of showing me that.
Eardrums.
Let's have some more fun with text
that's
mode
where he
video
turned down.
games.
Okay.
Someone trying to send a fax?
Did they make a connection?
Sometimes known as concentration. I wrote it in C to cross.
I won't play the whole thing. I'll just fast forward a little
Windows
bit here.
80 columns.
He has a pleasant voice.
Mm-hmm.
The way you play.
But there's the actual
is
Coco
select
game
the card
screen.
using the arrow keys and enter to flip the card. You flip 2 cards.
And can you hear his
if
voice
they
okay?
match,
Yeah.
They stay face up. Otherwise,
Yeah,
you get
sounds
flipped
good.
back over and you try again.
It's really quiet on my end.
Keep
So.
going until you flipped all the cards over. And
Okay.
the score is based on how many turns you take.
Anyway,
flipping over cards.
check that out. It's an
And-
ongoing project. Now, Stevie, you said you have something to add to it. He's also doing a roguelike game too?
Well, I think that's on his list. So yeah, we spoke the other day. He kind of reached out to me because I guess he's been a Mac guy and he recently switched to Windows. So he's asking me about some good games to play on the PC. So we started talking about playing games. Started talking about Steam, which is how you get games on the PC. And then conversations went all over the place. And then we were chatting on Steam yesterday, and he's like, "Yeah, he's like, I got some 3 new projects I'm working on that will run on Windows, Mac, and Coco." I'm like, "Well, how the hell do you do that?" And he's like, "Because he's writing them in C, and he's making them to work in screen formats that would work on PCs, like 80 column and 40 column screens and Coco 3 screens. So because he's writing them in C, they can compile to any system, and he's formatting them specifically in a way that translates to the Coco 3 text screens." And he mentioned that in his projects that a rogue-like game is where he's going to be going with all this kind of C compiling stuff.
Do you know if he's using CMOC for the Coco side of things, or is he using a different?
Honestly, I don't know, but I remember when we interviewed him many years ago when he started doing Bouncy Ball. He had started it in C, and wasn't getting some of the speeds he needed. And that's when Simon Jonason helped him with the direct assembly and the optimizations and stuff when it came to like some scrolling routines and sound routines and stuff. So I don't know what flavor of C compiler he's using, but I know Ron's Ice sounds really good right now. So
Thank you.
It does. It does. So it's stinking hot over here, and I could do with some of that ice right now.
So it seems like Rogue is on many people's minds. You know, Rogue-like things are on lots of people's minds right now, which is cool.
Which is fine with me. I love Rogue.
Yeah,
I still got to finish patching the version that Tandy sold because I've got a few additions, minor additions I want to put into it, but that's a project for another day.
More scraping.
Next up, the Coco Crew released their latest podcast. I won't run through the whole episode. I'll just mention a couple of the highlights. They did a review of Color Car Action, which was Neil Blanchard's Games Corner thing, which actually mentioned the 309 optimized version I did, and the improved speed that had. And then they also interviewed Aaron from the Coco Show, who's I think still in chat, maybe not, but they interviewed him briefly. I should also mention that we're going to be doing a triple interview. We're going to be interviewing all three of the Amigos on January 11th to kind of get the whole history of their podcast network and the Coco Show stuff and their experience with Cocos and other retro machines. So if any of you guys have any questions for them, I've got a few base ones that I've kind of sent out to them just to get a bit of a start and have them a little bit prepared. I don't know if you can ever be quite prepared to be talking to all of us, but
can we talk about Donkey King?
Well, actually, that's one of the things I'm going to be talking to them about is their perspectives. One of the best things about their show is they've got somebody who grew up with a Coco like most of us did, and then they have somebody who'd never seen one before the last couple of years, and the different perspectives coming towards the Coco and gaming scene in the Coco based on those two completely opposite poles. So
sure,
it's one of the best things about it. So anyway, latest Coco Cruise out, a couple hours long, lots of stuff. Go check it out.
Okay.
And if you get a chance sometime and you do listen, you ought to tell those guys how good they do. I did that. I went to Linville and told him he did a great job.
Ah, yes.
Positive feedback is always good.
Any feedback, but yeah, positive is nice.
And even if you have to lie, you can give us positive feedback too. It's nice to hear.
I prefer a great harsh dose of honesty. You know, a bitter spoonful of honesty.
That's overrated, I think.
Hey Curtis, I'm enjoying the news segment so far.
Yeah, Curtis, I'm really enjoying this news segment.
It's really riveting.
Yeah, don't
Coco Talk, where we want you to tell us what we want to hear.
Yes,
it's like placebo.
Is it almost over?
Yeah, that's the power of positive thinking in action.
See how we support each other here? We're good
Luciano,
friends.
this is our Brazilian friend here, Luciano. Hey, okay, Joystick Robot Commander.
Yeah, so Luciano released a short video showing his Coco controlling the robot arm and playing some Christmas music that he released on YouTube on Christmas Eve. So
what type of robot arm?
You'll see.
Oh, sorry.
He's actually got the Coco playing music, not the same Coco, but
yes, the original Armatron.
Oh, cool.
So it's based on the Hot Coco project. It was done on Hot Coco magazine in 1984.
Look at all those
I remember
lights.
the series that this was based on.
There's a Brazilian clone, a bunch of Brazilian clones.
Yep, CP400.
Is that a Coco 3 FPGA in that glass, or is that something else? I don't know what that is.
Looks like it.
Got quite a nice plethora of Coco-related machines.
What's that?
Plethora, I should say.
And very holiday.
Now that's a nice Christmas tree present under there, man.
That's
nice
awesome.
presentation.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And very appropriately released it right on Christmas Eve, so. And his LEDs in the tree.
That 7-segment display thing's cool. That looks really good.
Anyway, that was pretty cool. So go check out there's not too much more of the video, but he's got a bit of an explanation of what he was doing at the bottom.
Thank you, Luciano.
There too, so.
That's nice.
It says CoCoTALK in hex.
I'll take your word for that. I don't speak hex.
Next up, Richard Kelly. He's been releasing a lot of bits of software he's written here the last few weeks. Released English to Alien Troll utility.
We need to make sure Richard's on our list of people to recognize too next week.
Yes, I like his little releases he kicks out. He is like prolific and kind of
he's kind of like the Jim Gary of the Coco world right now.
And I think the problem is that he's just so, even though he's posting his stuff, I'm not sure he's fully getting recognized. I know we kind of show the links here, but again, this is a serious part of the discussion about when it comes to Facebook scraping. We're reporting on this, but I would like to be able to show off some of stuff. And yes, he is posting a disk image, and yes, we should probably try to get these queued up in an emulator and run them. But I've also invited him to come join us, and maybe Saturdays don't work for him. I'd love to have him on to talk about his projects. But I think in one area where we can improve the news delivery is not just only show the Facebook post and the screenshots, but maybe actually run it in an emulator and show the actual program on the show. But we need to be
that's
better.
a good idea, and especially if we can get the original author on to help discuss and talk about it, like we're going to try.
And in one
that.
such area, I don't know if Ben Drakes is still out there, but we have something that Ben has released, and we want to do that. We want to have Ben share his game with us.
Yeah, because we already know Chet will talk about his for sure. So.
Need something to fill the dead air.
Yeah. Yeah, so thank you, Richard Kelly, for all that you do. And I know we've not really put a very bright light on you, but we'll try to do a better job and show some more of your stuff off. Cool.
I agree.
Very, very cool. Brian Schubring.
Brian Schubring, also of the Glenside Color Computer Club. There's been some talk, especially after last week's show where you guys discussed some MIDI stuff. Some people were asking about some of the old MIDI hardware packs that actually had all three ports, the MIDI in, MIDI out, and MIDI through.
Yeah,
because you could do the MIDI out through the bit banger, pretty cheaply, just wire up a cable. But this was a hardware pack with an actual hardware RS-232 locked to the MIDI, baud rate, and with all three ports. And Glenside had made runs of these boards before, after the original.
I headed that up myself.
Oh, you did that all yourself?
I did that all myself. I laid out the board. I used Lester Hand's or excuse me, Speech Systems board as a template, and I just improved upon it, and I added the all three options for all three ports in that.
Was the Coco MIDI Pro was the original one, right?
Yeah, I think that one was by Lester Hands. Well, no, Coco MIDI Pro, that was the software, but the MIDI.
I just remember it was bundled with one with all three ports.
Yeah. Rutherford
research, right?
Yeah, he had three options with just the out, or out and in, or out in and through. So he had the three options originally. I actually took a look at the. I think it was you that put it out, that PDF for the instructions for on that, on how to utilize some of the addressing and stuff on the MIDI pack. Which
that wasn't me, but sure, I'll take credit for it.
Well, maybe it was, or was it Alan? Maybe it was Alan.
Might have been Alan, yeah.
Yeah, might have been Alan and all that. Because the addressing is pretty much the same across all the boards and all that, which is what FF60, I think, and 6P or something like that. Anyway, but yeah, there are things in the works.
Yeah. Now, basically, you put this post up, I think, to gauge the interest. Is there enough interest for you to make the boards at a decent cost? You had to have, I think, 15 minimum made.
Yeah.
So you put this post up basically to get how many people are actually interested in buying one of these. How has the response been so far since you're actually on?
Well, I could probably count on almost two hands now.
Excellent. Excellent.
In that. And, originally I was going to do a run of 15 boards in that, but actually I am working with someone that's going to produce the boards.
Okay.
And there will be details forthcoming on that one.
Will there be a real-time clock on this board?
Hell no.
That'll help keep MIDI time.
It'll keep its own time. It's got its own. It'll have a clock, but not a real-time clock.
Okay. All right.
And
if you're gonna make any new design, all new designs should include a real-time clock and a minimum of one sound chip.
No. I see that Brian Weasler is on, and we've been communicating a little bit. He wanted to have that. The schematic and whatnot, because he wants to possibly build one himself, since the schematic is out there in the public. And that. And I don't know if anybody remembers Mike Carey, who I honestly don't know if he's still living, but he lives out in Prospect, Tennessee, and he was the third party of the Music Men, which is me, Mike Knutson, and myself, way back then in the 90s. And we used to have all this equipment and whatnot and put together. And he actually did the conversions of pianos into MIDI pianos using special solenoids underneath the keys.
Oh, wow.
And
like
that
turning them into like player pianos where they can be played?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow.
And exactly. I talked to him about 8 years ago, I think. So I'm pretty sure he's still around, but he's kind of kept himself somewhat secluded because he's real busy. And that, and he's had some brain tumor issues. He's had surgery in that on that. That was like about 15 years ago, I believe. But anyway, he actually had a couple Coco set up. I think one was a Coco 2. And that, but he actually built it into the computer, just wired it underneath the board onto the direct bus net. That way there was no actual physical hardware to plug into a cart. You just simply had the connectors there, and that made it part of the computer.
Almost like an MSX, because there were certain MSX computers that had MIDI ports in them too, because they were really geared toward. And the Atari ST,
Atari ST
also had MIDI ports in there because it was very like studio centric in that respect. So
the Ataris had
cool.
fantastic MIDI timing. The MIDI timing on the Ataris was better than some of the MIDI timing on some of the Windows machines, even of today.
Yeah.
Does CoCoTALK in hex? So I can contribute, guys, every once in a while.
Hey.
Come on.
You did a great job.
So, but, yeah, no, there are, I guess we'll officially say that there are plans.
Okay.
In that out there. Official word will come out once the design is finalized. A few tweaks and stuff being done, but it's going to be kind of.
And do you have the price worked out yet, or does that depend on the design tweaks?
That's what we're trying to keep the cost approximately about where I kind of figured it. You know, I did a basic cost analysis, and you know all the parts, and then of course the normal rule of thumb multiply by 3 to get the approximate price for the labor, the parts, and for getting it out and whatnot. So, but you know that.
So this will. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say. So this will basically work with all the existing Coco 3 MIDI programs, I guess, like Lyra and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's actually a redo of the Coco MIDI Plus board, which.
I wonder
I thought he was going to have it under his tree.
No, I actually took some photos of this for my accomplice so that he, you know, the board and all that. But this is the actual one. I never kept one of the ones that I built for the club and that. And, you know, it's just like the club, no gold fingers, it's just a tin.
Okay.
And that, and the new one, of course, would be with the gold fingers. It would be more reliable. It's going to be kind of like a cross between this one and a couple small changes and that to more modern components, but probably no SMDs so that it can be easily worked on.
So you're going to have a finance department?
Finance department?
Will you offer in-house financing, buy here, pay here, layaways, things like that?
If you got the money, you can buy
it. Finance through 100% cash.
I'll definitely have to add one of those. Yeah, definitely have to add one of those to my list.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, David, has your package arrived yet? Because it did get over there through Sydney and over to, I think, Western Australia.
It's in Melbourne at the moment, I believe. It's just been processed through customs, so it's still on its way. But it is on its way. It should be here on Monday, I think they were saying, tomorrow.
Yeah. Good.
Nice.
So customs has a Coco 3. They try it on first.
Anyway, so that's what's going on.
Okay.
So there.
Okay, well, keep us posted on like when you guys get it actually, you know, ready to.
Yeah,
it's a go ahead project and what the final price is going to be.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Right.
still an analysis and whatnot, and
So yeah, I put out an independent survey, and unanimously it was agreed that there were not enough channels in Discord already, so we've gone ahead and added a MIDI channel there. So if you want to follow the progress, just go to the hashtag MIDI channel under hardware in Discord, and
which I started off.
Yes, you did.
And I got some Wallaby licorice.
Wallaby, crikey! Did you clear that with standards and practices through Jason Reichert?
No, this particular product is through Spain.
So just before we move on to the next news item, there's been a few comments and questions in the live chat. Number one, Wayne Campbell had commented earlier when I was mentioning I tried reaching out to that guy Rick Kelly about his games. Rick says you could try to see if you could arrange a day and time to interview these people so you can get something recorded to playback. Absolutely. I think that's a great suggestion. I did ask him specifically, could you be on the show? But I've also mentioned to many people in the past that, listen, if you'd like to be on, we've actually got a commercial that says, hey, send us feedback, send us a segment, send us, something via email. And I would also be very happy to just, like Wayne suggests, record something at a time that's more convenient for that person, just to make sure that if they want to do it, that we will bend to their schedule to make that happen, so we can get the information to air on the show. So that offer is always there, maybe not always said specifically in those words. So we might as well say it now. If somebody would like to provide something for the show and you can't be on the show live when we're on, reach out to us at CoCoTALK. What is it? I sound like I'm repeating myself, but the email address is cocotalk@cocotalk.live. You're talking over me now, Nick Marotta.
That's right. Well, you weren't doing it.
Yes, I was trying. I'm fumbling.
Somebody has to.
I will play the role of dictator right now and tell you to shut up, but it is CoCoTalk.
Hate it.
CoCoTalk at CoCoTalk.live is where you can reach out to us, and we'll be more than happy to schedule something.
For example, we're doing the Three Amigos interview a little bit of an off time too. So it's just an example. We will accommodate you.
Now, another question that came up in the live chat during the news from Dave and Sharon Veery says, hey guys, is there a place in the basic ROM that can be changed to have a different background screen color? It's a little bit of a hardware question. I believe some people were trying to feedback on that. So just be aware of the fact that if you're talking about the CoCo 1 and 2 with the VDG, your color options are very limited in your text modes, right? We have our choice of two background colors, green or orange, right? But a CoCo 3 has got palette options, and a CoCo VGA has palette options. But if the question is, can you change it in the basic ROM? What is the simple answer to that question? Can you change the ROM to default the VDG color mode to something not strictly black on green? Does anybody know the answer to that question? Is James Diffendafer still here?
If you burn a new ROM, you should be able to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you have a machine that's capable, like a CoCo VGA or CoCo 3, and you actually burned a new ROM, sure, absolutely.
You just give it a different value to initialize, and it'll come up a different color.
Right. You could boot with to a black screen with white text if you wanted to, for example.
And Rod Deveau, if I remember correctly, didn't Art Flexer's extended ADOS 3 allow that option? You could set your default palettes for your text mode, and even whether you're in 480 comms when you boot up your.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. So it's been done before too.
Yes.
If you have a CoCo 3 and you're running a CoCo SDC, you can create a basic program that will run automatically off your startup file, and you can then just set the palette colors, set the text width to whatever you want on boot.
There you go.
Right. But I think they're looking for something they can do specifically in ROM, because they had mentioned they've got a unique setup with two different CPUs. They've got a 6809 and a 6309. And they would like to turn on the CoCo, and when they boot to a specific ROM, have a different color set for each ROM. So I think they're looking for a ROM-based solution versus a RAM-based solution.
We're talking about CoCo 3s?
Well, I'm not sure. They're out there in the live chat right now. So again, on the CoCo 2, you're very limited on your color set because of the VDG, right? The text mode VDG has got two different, CoCo 2 is what they're saying, yeah. So you have got VDG options where it's basically black on green or green on black, and then the alternate color set would be red on orange or orange on red, right? Depending on if it's inverted or not. So those are really your only color options on the Coco 1 and 2 because there is no palettes for those.
Correct.
All right. So the question would be, where would they go into the ROM to change the default VDG mode for basic? And
yeah, as Ken Record has mentioned there, you can check the basic Unraveled series by Spectrum.
Yeah.
Online.
I can tell you it's in the front door there. It's just like one of the first things that gets set up.
Yeah. So if you go to the color
just look for anything storing to
archive.
FF22, that'll control the color set.
Yeah.
And you'll need an EEPROM burn if you want to put it in ROM permanently.
Yeah, and it sounds like they've got that. And then Mark Overhoser is also saying if you go to our Discord server and go into the hardware channel, Dave Phillipson has posted some code in Discord in the hardware channel. That
I asked and David responded. So
okay, there you go. All right, so hopefully we've pointed you in the right direction, Dave and Sharon. Sorry to derail the news, but when you got live people asking live questions, we want to make sure we acknowledge our viewers too. Thank you for indulging me there. Now back to Curtis and the news.
Okay, you have to reshare.
You're still sharing.
Still sharing. Okay. So next up is another Jim Gary video playthrough of a game that I don't have a clue how to pronounce.
Okay.
A
Lovag text adventure playthrough.
Yeah. Now, basically what this is this is a game that was written in Hungarian. So the original gameplay was all in Hungarian. So he's translated it to English.
Oh. Not
So
only
that's
does
kind
he
of an interesting history.
translate computer languages, but he translates national languages too. Oh, I like that. I like the little dots over the thing. You're in a hut. Order pizza. Get bread. Okay. Oh my God, it's raining.
That's
so
like
loud.
pizza sticks, right?
Get
Yeah.
stabbed. Get
Get
stabbed.
stuff, get
How do you
pineapple.
even know the stuff is there?
Get pineapple.
You're standing.
We'll
in
have to
front
ask
of
Jim
your-
Gary. Is he still in the chat? He can tell us how.
Yeah. Get stoned.
And get pizza.
So basically, it's a text adventure game, but the fact that it was translated from Hungarian, which the original author wrote the game in,
Yeah.
to English, is not something you hear about every day. So
Yeah, absolutely. We've just been joined by Grant Leedy, the internet's own Grant Leedy. You're blocked by a
Giant
massive
spider
web.
emerges from the web.
Kill spider. You pummel the spider with your staff. As it dies, a flute falls from its web. Wow, this is really cool.
yeah, I'm not going to play the whole thing, but definitely an interesting game.
Okay,
And if you have an
very cool.
MC10, go grab a copy.
All right. Very, very cool. Thank you, Jim Gary, for another contribution.
Yep, he'll definitely have to be on that list. Another person will have to be on that list will be Henry Reitveld, because he's done a lot of interesting videos doing some pretty unique things.
Reitveld.
Yeah. So we've had him doing like the P-51 Mustang attack flight simulator, playing head-to-head on modems and stuff. And this one, he's using the original plug-in power controller on his Coco 1, and he's actually using it to control a couple of things, including his Coleco Atom and the modem that's hooked up to his Coleco Atom. So he's actually having the Coco remotely turn those things on.
Wow.
This is just a quick
Is that loud
video
enough?
showing you how I use my original gray
Yeah, it's
plug-in
good.
power with my Color Computer 1 to control my Coleco Atom and modem.
Don't try this on a 6502, folks.
So I start by setting the switch.
Z80 power.
This is cool because I just bought one of these.
Even ran in 4K of RAM.
So he's
I want to use it to control one of those things that shoots treats to your dog.
Did I just hear somebody snore there for a second? Are we putting Nick Marentes to sleep? Or what's going
No,
on?
it wasn't me.
Okay.
Check Nick Marotta.
Nick
Found the
Marota.
light. We have,
First off,
I
I'm
have
muted.
found-
Secondly, I'm awake.
Okay.
The
It's
snoring
found the
would have an
light.
Australian accent otherwise.
This is Siri circa 1982.
Yeah, right.
we have found
Hey,
the
Google,
light.
Alexa,
turn on the
my
Coleco Atom.
Yeah, Alexa, turn on my Atom.
Uh-huh.
Oh
On
man.
the program.
Uh-oh, I'm losing a bid on eBay. My phone is
He's
telling
got a
me.
clock.
Give it a default time.
Oh, it's a real-time clock.
There you
Look
go.
at that.
Oh, it's sold. That lot of Coco
So
books
there's
has
my
sold.
menu.
He knows what's
I
important.
have the house code set to A in my different modules. So over here, I have 2 of them set to house code 1, or sorry, code 1 and code 3.
They're so close together. Why doesn't he just walk over to it and turn it
because
on?
it's not as cool to do it on your Coco.
You're obviously not a proper geek, Nick, if you have to ask a silly question like that.
This is something that David Ladd would do. Just create a convoluted way to do something just because he can.
What are those cartoons called that where you make this intricate system of things interlinked to do something?
Yeah,
simple,
it's like the
turn on
Mousetrap
light
game.
Rube Goldberg. Yeah.
Rube Goldberg,
My
right?
Coleco Atom on.
Does he have to make sure his printer's
Now I
off?
want to turn on the modem.
So he's gonna get this rigged up, I'm
here.
sure, so he can call remotely into the
Modem
modem,
is
trigger the
hooked up
Coco to turn on the
module
Atom.
1.
I've never seen how this stuff works.
So we'll
This
type in
controller stuff.
And who's going to use the Atom if he's not at home?
He could remote in via modem to his
Say
Coco,
on.
remote into that, and then turn on his Atom remotely from his Coco.
There, you just turned on the modem. You can see the lights blinking.
Yeah, you
on.
can see the lights
And
go
he
on.
can't-
just turned on my
He can't
Coleco
use the Atom.
and
He's
modem.
not there.
Doesn't matter. He's turned it on.
This is to freak out the pets when you
It's
leave
like
them at
it's like
home.
that
and you're doing this
Alexa
remotely.
commercial. The guy's driving home. He says, "Turn on the lights. Turn on the stove for my
I'm
wife." and all
sorry,
that kind of
Dave.
stuff.
I
Yeah.
can't do that.
It's just a really cool demonstration of actually running the plug-in power controllers. I'm used to use it to control your lights and stuff.
Right,
But basically, you can trigger anything on and off. So if you want to turn off your TV or, at night, if you fall asleep watching a movie, you could do it all from your Coco, which is kind of cool.
What
Chet,
if you
I'm
fall
sure will give us an
asleep
update.
here?
How about fire up Digger 3 for him or something?
Yeah, I have all my home controlled by the clapper, so it's
Not the wife? Oh, sorry.
I think you said the clapper then, didn't you?
Yeah, the clapper. All right.
Can we use the clapper on this show?
Yes, clap it off. Okay.
Jim's been clapping like crazy the last 2 hours. I don't know.
Okay, TRS-80 Trash Talk. They're doing a live show coming up soon, right?
Tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern time. You can watch it on YouTube, and they're also asking people to come and join in on the Zoom call itself. So Mark can post the link there. They are accepting even us lowly Coco users.
Wow.
Which is good.
Really, speaking of scraping.
And they'll also be previewing a new Model 1-3 game called Roundup.
By Peter Satinsky.
Yeah.
And that's tonight?
Roundup.
Tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern time.
Does that have anything to do with killing weeds?
I was just going to say that. You beat me to it.
That's what they call the weed killer Roundup. So, yeah. All right. Okay.
3 people with the same bad joke at one time.
I showed restraint.
That's Coco Talk for you.
I think you should just continue scraping.
Yes.
And the last item in the news here was one that David Ladd alluded to near the beginning. He's been playing around some Nitrous 9 stuff we've been doing. This next one is a very brief demo of one pretty major speed up we did to one API call called fstring copy mem, which a quick explanation, it copies memory from outside your process into your process to take a look at. So a lot of programs and utilities use this to like grab, like your module directory, emder or proc to see your processes. It actually grabs stuff right out of other places to display those things on your screen. So we sped up the 6809 version, and it actually sped up more than I was expecting. I was expecting maybe 50%. It's actually several 100% faster. It's almost close to the 6309 version. So the first version here will show you beta 4, or if you've got the 3.30 distribution, how fast proc and emder run normally on 6809.
Wow, it's not very fast.
Yeah, pretty slow. So the improvement we've been doing and will be part of the beta 5.
Wow, that's faster.
And you can use this for like grabbing graphics out of other programs. So if you're trying to like get put buffers, you want to steal some graphics out of Thexter or something like that, you can do that too. So
Echo.
it should help with quite a few utilities and stuff later on.
Who's introducing an echo? Right now?
Yeah, who's echoing?
Sounds like a different person echoing.
It does.
Oh, stop now.
Brian?
Yep, go on.
That might have been me.
Okay, thank you. You made Curtis sound more manly. That's probably the first time anybody's ever said that.
Yeah. I almost think I got hair in my chest now.
Now say Nightmare Highway.
Nightmare Highway.
And that is the news for today. The rest of the stuff will be on the Game On segment.
All right, well, let's wrap this up with the same professional little piece we started off with. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes Coco News with L. Curtis Boyle. Very cool. Thank you, Curtis, for doing that.
Well
no, good stuff. Very good stuff.
Thanks for all the false positives. That's good to hear.
Did you have music under that, Stevie, or is it?
I did,
okay.
but I'm not sharing
Oh,
sound. I wasn't sharing sound because Curtis just finished sharing.
Okay. I was going to say I have to write some music for you.
Okay, so we're going to take a brief commercial break, and then we'll come back with the Game On segment. And Ben, are you still with us? Ben Drakes, Explorer VR?
Hi, Stevie. Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, when we come back, how about we start off with your game since you're here, and you can maybe explain to me how to do it, because I'm not very smart.
I'd be happy to.
All right.
And then we'll do Chet's after that, and I'll just throw in the other ones as a trailer.
Sounds good. All right, so we're going to start off. Let me go ahead and turn on my sharing again so you guys can all enjoy this. But
Share.
You are watching CoCoTALK, the world's leading weekly video podcast, featuring the Tandy Color computer. We spread the love to the past, present, and future for all models, including the original color computer, the Coco 3, and the world-renowned exclusive French-Canadian Coco 2. The Radio Shack.
Coco 2, c'est le coq champion, des micros et donne le pion. Pour le jeu, il est pas bavard, les études, c'est pas bizarre. L'expansion, il adore ça, les commandes, tu vois ça. Notre Coco est bon bonhomme, pour tes cours, c'est bien serviable. Coco 2 de Radio Shack, ton affaire est dans le sac.
Un ordinateur couleur qui a de la personnalité. Le Coco 2 de Radio Shack. En solde pour Noël à partir de 149,95.
Coco 2 de Radio Shack, ton affaire est dans le sac. C'est toi et Coco 2.
And now, Coco Thoughts by Samuel Gimes. If you're using your color computer in Quebec and it stops working, is it now a Coco won't do?
8-slot MPI, floppy drive, Coco SDC, Sound Speech Pack, Orchestra 90, RS-232 pack, modem pack, Super IDE. You start adding all those together if you want them all usable at the same time. Well, guess what? You just went over the 4-slot MPI.
Hi, this is Curtis Boyle, part of the CoCoTALK crew of people, and a lot of us are here down at the Coco Fest, having a great time. It's the second day, and we're just about done, so you guys have to come out next year.
All situations depicted in this trailer actually happened. This true story has been anonymized to protect the guilty. Starting in the dead of winter, a group of bored teenagers blew stuff up, learned code cracking, learned phone phreaking, hijacked and hacked. No system was safe. No one could catch them, or so they thought. A true story at the dawn of the internet. System hacked.
We now return you to CoCoTALK.
All right, everybody, get ready for Game On, the gaming segment of CoCoTALK, where we talk about Coco games. We got some live playthroughs and some internet reviews this week. So how about we get to gaming, people? All right, and here we are. We are in a segment that everybody loves, the Game On segment, where we're going to talk about Coco gaming. We got some Coco games in the background right now. It looks like Jason's got Nightmare Highway going in the background. Brian Weasler's got Space Intruders going on there. Is that the Nick Marenti's game there? Right? Did I say the name right? Is it Space Intruders, or what is it called?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. And then we got Rob Inman with the pallet hacked Lunar Rover Patrol back there. That's looking good. We've got Nick Marotta playing, is that Buzzard Bait in the background there?
Buzzard Bait with the RGB patch.
With the RGB patch. So we got games in the background.
Yeah, David O'Connor has The Frog by Tom Mix.
The Frog by Tom Mix. So we got games. We got games going on here. And
You
Brian,
got game.
Cashman, Brian, are you going to play some music, or are you just holding that guitar? Brian's muted. He can't hear us right now.
He's tuning.
All right.
Playing a Chinese song called Tuning.
One of the suggestions that came through from last week's show was to, rather than do game, if we're gonna play video game clips, don't do it as part of the news. Do it as part of the Game On segment. So that's a great idea. But we also have a video game that Ben Drakes has submitted, and Ben, you're here, correct?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so I'm running this in XRoar, the Dragon and Coco emulator by Karen Anscombe. And so tell us about this game that we're going to look at here, Ben, that's called Ben's Beetle.
Kieran.
Okay, well, I don't know if you have a variant of this in your part of the world, but Beetle is a traditional British game. It's a family game. I should explain how you play that. So my mother, the day before Christmas Eve, she told me that she wanted to play Beetle over Christmas because it reminded her of her childhood, because she used to play that game. So you'd all sit around a table with a piece of paper and a pen, and you take it in turn rolling a dice. And the aim of the game is to draw a beetle before anyone else. But you have to draw the body first, and for that you need to roll a 6. Once you've rolled a 6, you draw the body of the beetle, and then you're waiting to get either a 3 to draw a leg or a 5 to draw a head. Once you've drawn the head, if you roll a 4, you can draw the antenna. And if you get a 1, you can draw either a tail or eyes. There are variations on the game.
Okay.
But my version doesn't have wings or a tail, and the 1 and 2 do something else, which you'll see when you play the game.
Okay.
Ooh.
So, yeah, all right. So that sounds like, and Ken Reichert just mentioned, too, that there is a game that we played with plastic toys that was called Cootie, where you had to put bugs together, but I didn't know the rules of Cootie. I know, and
Yes.
when I was in grade school, I used to get the Cootie sometimes, but...
That's right. That's the same game with a different name.
Okay. Okay. And because I never played the plastic toy game, I didn't know that there were rules to that. All right. So this is called Ben's Beetle. Now, it's asking for 4 players. Is it mandatory that we have 4 players in the game?
No, you could play with 2, 3, or 4. If you only had 3, then when it asks for players 4's name, then you just hit return.
What's the minimum number of players I'm going to need to do here for this demo?
2.
Okay. So we are going to do Nick Marotta and Nick Marentes, and we won't know who's who because they're both Nick.
You're trying to crash my game.
Finally, the battle is on.
I'll be the one who wins, and Nick Marotta can be the loser.
All right. And then we'll do David Ladd and David O'Connor, and we won't know who's who because it's David and David. So, all right. So Nick M. So now to roll the die, what do we do? We just press a button.
Yes, just hit return, and it will roll the die. And it should be a random number between.
Okay, you rolled a 6. So Nick Marotta, and now so the 6 is the body.
Oh, he's got lucky. Yes.
You got a body. Okay, so now that was Nick Marotta.
Skill.
Now it's Nick Marentes' turn. Roll the die, Nick. Space bar, maybe. Okay, Nick, you rolled a 4, and what does that get you? Nothing?
Nothing because he doesn't have a body.
You have to do the body first. Okay.
Good going, Nick.
And this is, okay, David, the other David. You're going to roll your die. Dave's not here, man. So until you roll a 6, you're screwed, right?
That's correct.
So you're going to keep... Go ahead.
Unless you roll a 1. If you roll a 1, then you have the option to go for a risky roll. So you get to roll the die again. And then if it's evens, so 2, 4, or 6, then you'll get the body part that you need.
Mm.
If it's odd, then all the other players get the part that they need.
Ah, so
that's the variation. That's what I've added to the game.
Ah, okay. So we've just gone through one round, and so far Nick Marotta got lucky. He rolled a 6 on his first try, so he's got a body. Skill. Okay.
No, that was me. That was me.
Somebody rolled.
It's all in the wrist. All in the wrist.
All right. Let's see who gets their beetle first. So it's also visual. Oh, we have. Go ahead, Marco.
This kind of reminds me of like playing Hangman, where you have the word you have to guess, and then the character is drawn.
Yeah.
Except it's using numbers. Same type of concept though.
And Ben, you mentioned this is your very first game you've ever programmed, correct?
This is my first ever completed game. Yes, so I'm very happy that you
congratulations.
guys are showing it. Thank you for.
Very cool.
Yeah. All right, David. I'm not sure which David this is, but it's one of the Davids. David, roll the die. You rolled a 4. Okay. Nick M. All right. And so we have a comment in the live chat too from Rob Inman. He goes, Ben's Beetle has digital to analog converted sound, just like Nightmare Highway.
So regarding the sound, you may notice there are 2 tones, and maybe that's slowing it down a bit. I will look to see if I can speed it up. The second tone is either high or low. It's high, which it was there.
Ah, look at that.
That's
So
a
what
good
is that?
sign.
Is that an arm he just got?
That's a leg.
A leg.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Which, if you're a beetle, I guess that's the same thing.
Yeah.
They don't differentiate like we do. That was a low tone, which means it wasn't good for.
So high tone is good. Gotcha. Low tone. That's like a raspberry.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got 4 players here, and we're building 4 beetles. So we should have John Paul,
Yeah,
George,
John Paul.
and
Yeah. Okay.
Ringo.
Oh, somebody rolled
Okay,
a 1. Do we
here we
want to
go.
go for a risky roll? Yes.
I recommend that because if it's odd, then all the other players will get a body.
Yeah.
Which will speed things up.
Tim Franklin's asking, is Nick M's beetle a dung beetle?
And which Nick M is the question?
Oh, so you'll need to press Y. Don't press any other key.
Too bad. So that gives everybody else a piece that they were missing.
That's right. That'll speed things up.
So you have to keep track on what people have. So this guy got a head where he had a leg. Everybody else just got a body.
Yeah. Now the game changes once you have a head, because if you roll a 2, you can now nibble at another beetle. So you could take away Nick M could eat David's body.
Evil.
We gotcha.
We gotcha.
So you're saying this game is promoting cannibalism amongst
is
beetles?
awesome. That is just straight awesome.
But the game also keeps track of how many times somebody nibbled you, and then it displays that at the end of the game.
Oh, so you know who to punch.
Okay, I'm slightly less comfortable playing this game now.
Yeah, you rolled a 2.
And
Nibble
if you win,
another beetle.
Yep,
Ooh.
you get a chance to do it now.
All right. So who is this? Which beetle? 2, 3, or 4? Let's nibble at the other Nick, so he's not as far ahead as he is. Right? Okay. You just had your body nibbled away, other Nick. All right.
Oops.
Nick,
Now
you
he's
can
gonna
have-
Now he's going to have to roll a 6 or hope that someone else rolls a 1, and then it's even.
Okay, David, roll the die. The other David, roll a die. Nick M, roll the die. And so right now, Nick M, the first Nick M, is in the lead.
Yeah, that one's mine. I don't know.
Yeah, you wish. You wish.
Oh, he got his antennae. You want? Of course, we're gonna risk the risky roll.
Oh yeah.
You rolled 11s. Lucky you.
Yeah, evens is good for the player who rolls it. I confused myself.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. You rolled a 6. David rolled the die. So we're gonna. Right now, it's well. Nick M or David could be a contender here. Nibble another beetle. We are going to nibble.
Australia and Canada
Which
are in the
beetle?
lead.
We're going to nibble the one. We're going to bite the head off of David. All right.
Oh. I can't talk now. I've got no head.
Well, beetles 2, 3, and 4 can't nibble.
It's only a
beetle
flesh
1.
wound.
Oh, because they don't have a head to nibble with.
They don't have heads.
Okay.
But let's say that one of the David ends up winning the game. It'll tell him how many times each of the other players nibbled at him, and then he can choose to devour the beetle who nibbled him the most.
Oh, wow.
Or he can devour all of them.
Get it
or
all back.
Or he can be magnanimous and let everyone live.
Ah, wow. You have moral decisions to make at the end of the game here. Oh, David just sprouted ahead again. You can talk again now, David.
Hey! I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
Now, which David is which?
That's for you to interpret.
I'll let David Ladd go with the one with at the end. He's got an antenna.
Oh, somebody
I'm
just got
happy
an
to be-
antenna.
Oh, I got an antenna.
David 3 got an
No,
antenna.
he's got a leg.
David 4's got a leg, yeah.
David Ladd, apply directly to the forehead.
Oh, Nick M and David 4 are now tied for the most appendages and accessories on their beetle.
The most complete beetle.
Yes.
Appendages.
This could take a while.
The complete Beatles.
Now, do you include to
That's a
support
good album.
the plethora of sound chips on the market with the final release of this product?
Well, I don't know how to
Or
do
real-time clock.
multi-voices. I think you need to use machine language for that, or you need a sound pack.
We can look
hook
at
you up
this.
with a
Look at
guy.
this. We have everybody's
Yes,
tied.
we're all even.
How did that happen? How did
Nobody
everybody
beat
get
anybody.
tied?
It's rigged.
Go for a risky roll. Yes.
So, Ben, we know this guy. He's even British.
You rolled
We can hook
5
you up.
odds. Too bad. Oh,
Look at each
look
now.
at that. We got the first 3 players are in the lead.
So I can assure you that
Antennas.
the die is completely random.
Yeah.
It wasn't at first because I used the function RND
Yes.
to generate a random number.
Yeah.
But I found that it was always the same.
Right.
Each game, it would start as a 3, then it would be a 2, then a 1, then some other number, which really
Yeah,
surprised
you have to reseed it using the timer.
Yeah, it's pseudo-random. It's just a mathematical function that if you seed it with a specific number, it's always going to generate the same random numbers. But you can seed it with a, I think, can't you see the random
I
number
always used to
generator?
see it with negative time.
Yeah, negative timer is what you use.
Let's see.
Yeah.
So like X equals negative timer, and that just resets the seed. or-
Random negative timer.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Negative timer.
Negative
So
timer.
I just ended up making my own random number generator using the timer.
I didn't know there was such a thing as negative timer.
I really thought we were trying to keep this show positive.
Go for a
Now we're
risky
talking
roll.
about negative timers.
It counts anti-time.
You rolled odds. Too bad. So, oh, look at
Still
this.
Oh.
How many freaking legs does this beetle have?
They have 6.
Oh, wow.
Is that a leg?
Yeah.
It's a beetle.
Yeah, this is going to take a while. All right. This is cool, though. So, if I had done this by only putting in 2 names, would it have skipped player 3 and player 4?
Yes, if you only put 2 names in, then it will just treat it as a 2-player game.
Okay. Look at it. So David 3 right now is halfway there with his appendages. Let's all cheer on David 3 here. Thoughts and prayers for David 3.
I can run around in circles now.
Well, yeah. If nobody nibbles David, then it should be over fairly soon.
Yeah, I want to see the ending screen on this here.
And there can also be a tie. It is possible if someone rolls a 1, and then it's odds on the risky roll. 3 other players could get the limb that they need, and if that happens, then there's a roll-off to decide who is the master beetle.
I'd be interested to see. I'm going to have to look at your code to see what you did for the random number generator.
Well, so I can explain that to you if you like.
Sure.
So what I do is I put the timer into a variable, and then if it's over 1,000, I subtract 1,000 until it's in the hundreds, and then I subtract 100 until it's less than 100, and then I copy that number into 2 variables, and then the second one I reduce it by 10 until it's less than 10, and then I create another variable, and if it's so if that second one was 0 or 1, then the new variable is 1, and so on up to 5, and then the one that was a 10 in the tens. I look at if it's between 0 and 5, then that becomes a 0, and if it was between 5 and 9, then that's a 1 basically.
Well,
I set up a value between 1 and 5, and then I either add 1 to it or I don't. So between those 2 variables, I've got a range of 1 and 6. So that's how I did it. There's probably quite a clunky way of doing it. I could have done it better, but it works.
Yeah, well, you did it. You did it yourself, and you. I think the only thing I would point out, the timer is based on the computer keeps counting through a cycle 60 per second, and it goes up to like 65,000. So depending on where you are on your timer, you're going to probably be greater than 1,000 for a great period of time. So
yes,
so you might want to take that into consideration, or maybe just now that you know about the random negative timer, that might simplify this too.
Well, if that's quicker, I'll definitely go with that. It's a good suggestion. I had thought about doing a minus 10,000 if it was over 10,000 and so on to speed it up, but yeah.
We are really
so what's this minus timer thing? What do you do? Say timer equals minus 10 or something, and it counts up from that.
Pick any variable like x equals random negative timer, and random left parentheses negative timer right parentheses, and then that just resets.
It tells it to reseed where in the random number generation sequence you are, and since it's based on the timer, which is 1/60th of a second, you're not going to usually catch the same number every time. So it basically reseeds it to a truly random value.
Okay, I'll have to look into that further and nut it out.
I want to see somebody win this game. I want to see what happens when we win. How about I do this? How about I will continue to play this while somebody else shows something else off. When we get closer, I'll bring it over. Who else wants to show off something in the game?
News and we'll bring it right back.
So we got more game stuff to show. Chet, do you want to show off some of your stuff?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Where is Chet? Hold on. There's so many faces and stuff on here. I can't. I'm going cross-eyed right now. Cosmic Ambush. Where the hell is Chet?
Right here, man.
I swear to God, I don't know why I can't see Nick Morendi's, Paul Barton, Rondevo.
I'm the cash man scene.
Oh, that's why I don't know that that's you, because I don't see your face.
There you go.
There we go. I see Chet Simpson's cash man on the screen. All right, so we're going to hear from Chet Simpson now.
Okay, so now all of the videos that I've done for the promos in the past few weeks have been recorded on BCC and or using BCC on a PC. And so today what I wanted to do was show a little bit of Digger running on actual hardware. I finally got one of the 512K machines that I plucked off the eBay, got everything up and running, got my Coco SDC, got that up and loaded up yesterday, was able to spend some time playing it and making some tweaks. And it's just a much different look and feel when you're on an actual machine. So I just wanted to share some of that versus the some of the videos that have been posted the last few weeks and get that. So let me get this turned on. Oops. There we go.
Ooh, look at that, a CM8.
Yeah, so this is a CMate that I also plucked off of eBay, and it does have the door. What I found
I'm
is
so jelly.
that yeah, with the door, there's definitely a significant performance improvement. So if you have a door, you're going to be pleasantly surprised with the game. You're definitely going to be yeah.
Make
But
all
so
of
far,
us feel
Yeah,
bad.
that's the 120 megahertz or 120 hertz door, isn't it?
Yeah.
The black levels are a lot better when the door's in place too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. So I just might need to make a couple of adjustments. Obviously, it's I think it has been opened up before, but anyway, so let me go ahead and get this loaded up and turn around here. Oops.
Oh yeah, where are?
That's oh, I see why. Let me move around here. I typed that in wrong.
Yeah, I'm gonna continue to work on my Beatles.
All right. That's easy.
I think Jed did this on purpose just to get the suspense going.
Oh, I get to nibble another beetle.
How many of those you got left?
I have beetle number 3 only needs one more arm, so we might be getting
Yeah.
close.
Yeah, if this takes much longer, we might have to break in for the beetle.
Yeah, let's push back over to the beetle. I want to see the beetle get eaten.
All right, well, we're getting close.
The down under beetle.
If you find any bugs that aren't supposed to be in there, let me know, Stevie.
Good one. I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So,
we
anyway,
get to nibble a beetle.
Your software is full of bugs.
Hey, what happened to me? I'm not doing so well. all of a sudden.
We're screwing with you.
Yeah, no kidding.
And so we have our wonderful loading scene that
I like this.
Took many hours to do this. It was very.
Yeah, the graphics design on this is just incredible.
Oh, there's the title screen. Look at this.
That looks cool.
Look at how much animation is going on
Are
here.
you sure you don't have an Amiga hooked up to this?
Yeah, this is a real Coco. This is a 1609 Coco 3. It's got an old school 512K upgrade, and just the Coco SDC in it.
I like that.
So
That's really cool.
Yeah, from this side, it actually looks much better. The colors are really very crisp on the monitor. It looks like you'd expect it to Unreal hardware.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So of course, with this version, this is we got a new title scene with pretty much the same options that were in the preview last year. You have your help to kind of give you an idea of how to play the game. Credits for a list of people, some of the people that have contributed to making sure that the game gets out, and of course being able to play. So and most of the scenes are of course just like this one, so you can expect this kind of stuff throughout the game.
Press dig to start.
And I'm going to play with the keyboard because I do have a deluxe joystick, but I've found that I suck with it. Or the joystick itself sucks. Because I've been testing this with a Sega Lite gamepad with the thumbsticks, and I found that it plays much better with that. But I think there's going to have to be some adjustments made to the input system in order to accommodate some of the quirks of this particular joystick. And of course, that's one of the big reasons why I wanted to make sure that I got this played on hardware before it went out, to make sure that kind of stuff was definitely addressed before hit the players. So I think this is the first time I played this with.
What is that one called? The Gold? What did it say?
The Golgothan.
The Golgothan.
And you can see here we've got some sparklies. This is one of the things that you can't really account for in when you're using an emulator like BCC. So those kind of things that you do have to take care of on.
So does that mean you have an 86 gimme versus an 87 gimme?
That I don't actually know. I've had reports that it's actually occurring on 87s as well.
Usually that's a palette thing. Like if you change a palette right at the wrong
and that
part of the
shouldn't
H
be
sync.
happening. Yeah. That's the thing. That kind of stuff shouldn't be happening. So we're just going to go on to the next level, and it gives you your bonus life award for completion of the level. Your bonus points for that. Your survival and kindness bonuses as well. And
what is a kindness bonus? Does that mean you didn't hurt anybody, or?
Yeah, it means you didn't kill them. Any of the guards.
Okay.
So and then of course you're on level 8. You just finished level 8. You've got your score of 1600, and you've got a couple of lives left now.
Neat.
Should also mention too, the right now the warp codes for the testing are based on the level number. I'm assuming that's not going to be in the actual full game.
Oh no, I'm not going to make it that easy. Come on.
I mean, if I want to go to level 9, I just type in 0009.
Yeah, and they're in hex, so it's
Boing.
Nine.
Makes it it makes it easier for testing, so you don't have to remember
Ha-ha, you
remember
died.
which ones.
I
it
know,
is,
right?
Yeah.
I love that.
Is there any
Ha-ha, you
significance
died.
to the waterfall, or are they just background that's just there?
Yeah, there are some. They do have some significance on some levels. So that's something that you'll just have to explore once you.
Oh, evil when
play
you
the
fall.
game,
I hate
yeah.
those hidden ones
It's
that
got
you don't
fall
know.
through. Yeah,
that's
I
evil.
found those on the first level.
Evil.
You gonna have cheat codes?
Maybe, maybe not. You'll just have to explore and find them. There have been cheat codes in every single game that I've released in the past. I just don't think anybody's ever found them.
Mm. So yeah, the water looks a little toxic there. The green water.
It looks really, really good.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day, Chet, this would have been a bestseller. People would have paid big
Oh
bucks.
yeah, there's so much going on the screen.
Yeah,
right now.
for
So much
sure.
animation.
Definitely.
You got multiple birds or bats. You've got multiple bad guys running around. You got bubble animation, waterfall animation. Is that real animation and not palette cycling?
Yeah, that's all. That's all blitting. There's actually no palette animation anywhere in the game.
Wow.
They're just there was a basic color set that was used, and that was fixed.
Okay.
Back for Digger 2 and Gold Runner 2000. So it's the same palette that we've been working on since then.
So this is my question, Cheddar. So are you still learning like new techniques to this day, like in order to do things like this?
Over the last year, I've gone through and revisited a lot of optimizations, and I've got a whole collection of notes for optimizations for all of the scrolling, blitting, background management, all of that kind of things. It really, really speeds up the game. Some of it I've employed here. Some of it, a couple of the techniques were originally in Digger 2, but they've been expanded significantly. So, and that covers things like, not just the background management, but one-to-one overlays on the full screen. So you can have a full screen overlay managed very, very efficiently, so that you won't notice much of an impact.
It's just interesting to see like you guys like you and Nick Franchi pushing the hardware and doing things that are like.
Yeah, I mean, there's always
feedback.
I'm sorry, you're really, really low volume. I don't.
Oh, sorry. We're seeing things like you and Nick Morentis are pushing the hardware, and we're seeing things that we didn't see back in the day.
Well, I mean, there's always
looks
new
really,
techniques with new
really
considerations
impressive.
that that come into play, and there's techniques that work in some games and really fail badly in others. So it just depends a lot on the type of games that you do, and if you haven't done that particular type of game before, you're gonna get some new optimizations, just like going from a static screen to a four-way scrolling. It's a much different type of management that has to go on, but it does have some similarities and does share some attributes with what you do on a stationary screen, but it's much more involved.
It looks beautiful.
Copyright 2020.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I got a question. When we see Homer down there in the bottom left-hand corner and he's walking towards the ladder, how does he?
Not Homer.
how does he know to automatically climb up that ladder? Is it because the next block over is solid too, and he's got no choice? What's making him know to climb up that ladder right there?
Well, there's a set of rules that say whether or not they should move in a particular direction, and that's actually one of the things that's being tweaked right now. There's some corner cases that need to be addressed. Like there's some instances where these guys will just run around in a circle. In some cases it works, but in a lot of others it doesn't. And then there's some that when they get to an edge of the rope, what do they do? There's there's a set of rules that are employed in order for them to get to you pretty quickly.
Okay. No, it's neat. I mean, it's very mesmerizing. I love watching like track screens that just do stuff, because you can kind of get mesmerized and just stare at that forever sometimes, And this is just really cool, just to like kind of like a screensaver type thing, just to sit here and watch these guys go through their motions,
Yeah, it is. It's one of those things that I'd planned last year. I just wasn't exactly sure where I was going to take it until I started getting the some of the sludge falls in there, and then a lot of the art and presentation aspects of it kind of came together. The hardest part was really trying to decide where to put stuff for the menu, because there are actually a couple of options that I'd like to put in there, but how that's presented and how easy it is to access that kind of changes with that. So, and I'm not really too happy with the high score down there at the bottom, but yeah, we'll see what I end up doing with that.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's in there. I can't think of anywhere on this current screen. I can't think of anywhere else where you would put it right now. So
maybe a different color, but yeah. Or maybe a background.
Yeah, and there's a lot of ways to do it, shifting things and even, modifying the scene slightly. So, there's actually a lot of options with the stuff that I'm actually using, because this is, it's actually running a game level right now. This is a kind of a built-in level that's been included, and it just runs through it and hides the main character.
Hey, Chet, we have a question from YouTube. Dragon Bites asks, how long have you say you've been developing this game to this point?
This particular version, I mean, if you include the development time for Gold Runner 2000 and Digger 2, because that's what this is based on.
Continuation.
Plus the work that I did on last year. I mean, I didn't. In fact, I was talking to somebody yesterday. I didn't do any work between late December of last year and September of this year.
Right.
So
9
all
months.
in total, probably a year.
Now, Chet, you have some options in the test version here for changing the frame rate. You've got a regular speed, a double speed, and a half speed. Are you planning on speeding the game up at some point, or is that just for testing your routines? Or
that's just for testing routines. We did one of the levels that I had in the preview originally changed that, but we found that particular aspect of gameplay just wasn't really designed for that originally. So the animations, the speed of the characters are pretty fixed from the original, and it just made it really clunky. So we just decided to leave it fixed at 20 frames, and use the continue to use the frame changer for performance testing. So I can set it down. I can tell it to run at 60 frames a second. I can see, okay, well, it's still only running at 30, or 20. See how close it is to something. And I've got other indicators that aren't included in that build.
Okay.
Cool. Very, very cool.
Very nice.
Anybody have any questions or comments for Chet on Digger 3 right now? Now, the version you're having right now, is this limited distribution? Because I know a few people have seen it. Could anybody who asks for it gets it, or are you trying to keep this under closed wraps right now?
There's a limited audience on this particular build. I mean, there's final testing going on. There's a lot of tweaks that have to go in. Unfortunately, I've run into a bug, which I'm going to have to go in, and it's actually quite irritating one. But I wanted to get some of the impressions, get some people out there, playing it, other than myself and Paul, and see what any feedback and any problems that they might run into on real hardware, kind of expand that particular thing, because some people do use things differently. We did find some things like you can't launch it directly from the games menu with the CoCo SDC, so that was one of the things that came up. I need to check and see if there's some type of a compatibility thing, but for some reason it just doesn't work. And then we've had problems with the disk IO code, or the sector read code, and that it just didn't work on a real machine once you got off of the the emulator. So being able to get it out and get some feedback on those particular type of issues and make sure that they don't escape into the wild is definitely important to me. So that has been limited to certain people, but and the release is going to be coming soon. So I mean, it's and the only thing that is going to delay that is going to be this particular issue that I'm facing that caused it to actually lock up.
So are you basically done the level design now? I know you were playing originally and having over 30 levels, and I know there was less on the preview version here, but have you basically got those laid out now, or are you still tweaking those too?
Yeah, I've got those, and that's one of the reasons I'm not going to be making any more tweaks to the additional ones until the defect is corrected, and the AI has changed, because some of the stuff in those particular levels, in order to test those, that AI has to change first. So and it's very, very quick change. But I've got 17 levels in the version that's being distributed right now, and I've got another 20. in there. So I'll probably do another 10 as a quick off and just swap out anything that just sucks.
Okay.
I've just been mesmerized watching him run around and around.
I know, it's very mesmerizing.
Yeah. In the final version, will you have an option for, like, if you let it sit there and do its thing, where it just goes through some actual levels and plays itself, sort of thing, or like a demo?
Yeah, I'd considered adding an attract scene to it that went off and and played 11, and it's certainly possible because that's exactly what it's doing right now. It's cycling through all of the level, all of the AI, and all of that right. So it's just a matter of controlling that input in the player. So that's actually an easy lift. Unfortunately, that got put off to the side as kind of a kind of a stretch thing. If it gets in, hey, that's great. If not, it doesn't. But then that decision was made, I don't know what, September. But the bug that I'm looking at right now is probably going to erase any chance of that happening. But yeah, it would certainly be possible. Yeah. I might make an update.
The reason I asked that was, the reason I was asking that is because, obviously, like with my display going on there, I've got Frogger in the background there and Matrix and stuff like that. I like to have things, doing something on the screen in the background on CoCoTALK. It'd be great to show off something that you've done, part of our crew has done. It'd be great to have that there. And
yeah, I mean, if it gets in, I mean, I'll probably make an update at a later time just to see, as a test for some of the sequencing that I've been looking at optimizing. But yeah, there's certainly that possibility. But for the initial release, that is not a priority or a plan at this time.
Hey, Chet, there's another question. Lad, wanted to know, have you tried loading this from a real floppy and how fast that is?
No, I have not, but I have run it on MAME, just regular.
Yeah.
The loading time isn't too bad. I would certainly like to improve it. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll have to grab a grease weasel and do some real hardcore diagnostics.
You just want to say grease weasel.
Yes, I do. I mean, doesn't everybody? I mean, it just rolls off the tongue.
That's what she said.
Jess, have you tried loading this in by cassette?
No, but I have considered distributing it that way.
Eight track.
Mandatory cassette distribution. That should really irritate people.
Hey, Craig Stewart says impressive, great color in animation. Yes.
Hey, Chet, would you also do a turbo tape loader too?
Oh no! I'm old school. I'm going straight for the old school stuff. 1500 baud. That's it, man. That's all you're getting.
Yeah, I played it on MAME, and I think MAME's floppy emulation is actually worse than real hardware, and it was acceptable. The load time and the digitized floppy grinding noise and everything happened in MAME when I pulled this stuff up, and it seemed to work okay.
Yeah. One quick question for you, Chet. On the final distribution with all 30 plus levels, is that all going to fit onto one disk image? And is it going to be like a 40 track or just a standard 35?
There's, I mean, I'm going to be testing it on an 80 track. I'm not sure if the Coco SDC supports that.
It should.
It does.
Right. And the disk IO code that or the file IO code that I've got definitely supports it on my, so there will be a couple of images. You'll have a two 40 track image, floppies and an 80 track.
Interesting. Now you're going to be releasing this to the public for free, right?
Yes. Yes.
Now, would you consider making some physical copies? Like if somebody wants to get a copy at CoCoFest and something on a floppy or an SD card with a label, would you consider a limited run of physical copies for people who want to buy one and maybe get an autograph and stuff like that?
Well, yeah, I'm a capitalist, so I mean, if you're gonna pay me for my free program, then damn, yeah. I mean, you don't get any better than that.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, maybe that's my whole goal all the time,
Yeah.
But,
Because,
yeah. No,
he's gonna guilt us into paying $50 a copy. Is what he's gonna do. Yeah.
That's maybe, I you know what? I am that evil. I am that evil. So,
I was going to say my only criticism on the whole thing is that you're not charging for it. Really, it is it's a work of art, it's definitely worthy of being a paid program for sure.
Back in the day, there's enough
totally agree.
Load Runner that I don't think you would have had a problem getting away with it. It'd be a great improvement over the original Load Runner. So.
Yeah. And honestly, Load Runner wasn't much different than Space Panic. Which one of those came first? You know, so there were games back then that were somewhat derived from each other, either intentionally or not. But, you know, I'm not sure that we were as Sue happy back then as we are now.
Was Space Panic similar to Apple Panic?
Well, Apple
Yeah, it
Panic
was
is
the
probably a
arcade
clone
version.
of it. Yeah, Space Panic was a game in the arcade where you had to dig holes in the brick floors to bury the aliens that were chasing you. You know.
Yeah.
I think I brought this up to you, Chet, that you could host it on a site like itch.io where people can name their own price. So if they want it for free, they can get it for free, but they can also throw in $5-10 if they want to. I don't know if you're interested in that.
That's always a prospect. You know, I haven't really thought much about it. So,
you could also you could set up like a PayPal account and with whatever email address and just put that on the title screen. You know, if you want to make a donation, just PayPal Chet at whatever, you know.
Oh, yes. Make it guiltware.
Guiltware.
Gary Steen wants to know when the planned release is, and are you taking pre-orders?
I'm absolutely taking pre-orders of my free program because it will be available on the internet. But the planned release is between Christmas and January, middle of January. That's definitely going to change. I'm not really sure what. I'm not going to know until this afternoon until I start regressing this issue. Luckily, I've got 503 commits since I started. With going all the way back to the base code. So either the bug was originally there or it was introduced sometime in the last year, but I've got enough information to help me find it, and I've got the tools to help me find it. So, but my guess would be end of January.
Very cool.
Looking forward to it.
Of 2020.
Yes. Ships.
Right, and you don't want to. You don't want to release it until you know you're ready with it and you're happy with it. So.
Well, the copyright date says 2020, so it can't be changed. That's it. He's committed.
Sometime next year. Yeah.
Yeah. See, the great thing with commits though is that in my world I can revert that and go on with my day like nothing ever happened. It's the great thing about being an engineer. But yeah, back to the thing, the topic of a special release or edition for the fest. Absolutely. There are going to be certain things I'm going to be playing around with over the next couple months in preparation for my next game. Things with sound, as well as input that I will probably implement in this game if I've got room. And can actually, can add it in there. So, I'd like to get that out as well. So I'm going to hang on to those stuff and get those, polished up along the way and try to get that out for the fest. So yeah, I can certainly see, that definitely happening. And I've even considered, putting it on ROM for fast load. And,
okay.
But so yeah, I don't know if there's going to be support for things, like the speech to sound cartridge, particularly with Steve's comments. I mean, I'm not going to, rack my brains, trying to get something like that to work when it's not going to. I mean, you can certainly mod it, but yeah, it's not going to be a focus for me anymore. I'll continue. I'll be getting a Mega Mini MPI as soon as one of those is available, which will have the OPL chip, which I'll certainly be supporting along with the Game Master and the Symphony 12 and Philharmonic 12 or whatever it is. So there's now that I've got real hardware, I get to actually go in and dig into that stuff a lot more. Make sure that it's perfect, because it's if it doesn't run an emulator, I really, that doesn't concern me much. But if it doesn't run on real hardware, that's a major concern.
Cool.
Well, looking forward to trying it out on the with the Mega Mini with the OPL3 chip. That'd be cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have done some some experiments with this, and there are I think it's more personal preference for the background music. So that kind of thing will certainly be optional, but I think for a lot of people, having that background music certainly changes the experience of the game, and I want to make sure that something like that is in there. Of course the rendering requirements and the CPU speed. I'm not going to get any more out of that, so there's not going to be any digital music in it, unless, I mean, maybe if you're 2 megs, but most it's going to be sound card for the background. So there's not going to be any digital music in it, unless, I mean.
Cool.
Well, you're very talented, man. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Yeah, I second that. It looks stunning.
This has been a killer game back in the 80s. It's a killer game today too,
it's
but
definitely
back
a
then
killer
you
game.
made money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd have charged out the ass for it too. Don't think I wouldn't. back in the day, you'd have been spending $69.95 for this work.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then of course I wouldn't have made any of it because it would have been pirated all over.
Right,
the place.
right. Well, like back in the early days of PC games, like your 3D Realms, your Apogee and Epics, they would do like a shareware version to let you play like one level for free, and then you could buy the full version. You know, so that was a common practice too. Give them the trial version. You know,
Doom.
There's no room on the screen to put "Cracked" by Dr. Crack.
That's funny.
Dr. Crack.
Well, you just replace copyright with cracked by. You know, so
Copy left.
Crack turtle.
Copy left.
I've seen that. Copy left.
Copy left.
I like that, Nick.
Well, we are very close that David 3 might get his final beetle arm. Do you want to see if we can get the final beetle arm here?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you make it look like it's on the Digger 3 monitor?
Breaking news.
Okay, Nick M, roll the die.
Picture in picture.
Uh-oh. Nick M's got his second leg. We're getting close here, folks.
Oh, this is good.
Roll or die.
Roll or die. So the low tone is a bad roll.
We're not doing any tones.
Dragon Bite says 2 easy payments of $34.95 a piece. Do you want to nibble another beetle? Oh, can you not hear the sound? Am I not sharing sound anymore?
No.
All right, how do I fix that? Share system sound only share. Okay. All right, well, I'm going to remind me to turn that off in a minute too, because I think Curtis is going to be showing something off. Okay. So we are going to nibble on beetle number 2 because he's getting close. All right. Nick M, roll the die.
So glad we turned on that sound.
Good thing we broke in for this.
That's it. Breaking news. Oh, yeah, Nick Murda says you could sell the warp codes. The game is free, and then the warp code. Somebody's messing with the.
Oh, look at that.
David won. Here we go. So, why is this screen so screwed up right now?
CoCoTALK Inception.
Okay, so here we go. You won, David. Choose who to eat. All right, so David won. So David could eat everybody. David could eat Nick M. David could eat the other Nick M. Or David could eat David.
David eat David.
David eat David. Nick M nibbled on you one time. All right, so David's going to eat. Oh, wait a second. I'm confused. Okay, all Nick M. All right, let's eat everybody. He's a hungry beetle. All right. All right. Boom.
That's cool. Not confusing with everyone with the same name.
I know.
History is written by the winners. There you go.
That is it. All right. Well, so history has been made twice. We got to see the latest version of Digger 3, a brand new game in progress, and we got to see the first game ever written by Ben Drakes. Thanks for making this, Ben, and thanks for sharing it with us. And hopefully we did the game proud by you.
Oh, well, thank you very much for having it on the show. And I'll be sure to show this to my mum, because even she hasn't seen it yet. She'll be delighted.
Yes.
Have Simon.
Don't forget to turn the
Simon about audio.
sound sharing off, Stevie.
Say that again now?
I was just saying, don't forget to turn off the audio for your sharing.
Yes.
From the game.
Yes. Okay.
Just don't forget to turn off your audio, period.
That's it. Audio is muted. Okay, so L. Curtis Boyle, do you have more games to share with us that you have curated this week? You're muted, L. Curtis.
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact.
Okay, so now that we have done eating the Beatles, which, by the way, that is the perfect name. We should be, next time you play the Beatle game, it should be John, Paul, Ringo, and George, right? So.
Yep.
Hey, Simon Jonasson has just joined us. Hello, Simon. All right, well, we're ready whenever you are, Curtis. There we go. L. Curtis Boyle. Oh, computerware presentation.
Yeah, this is a game called Show Jump. And these are the Petsas Gym 1 Dragon stuff again.
Okay. V to increase the speed of your horse. V and C. M or Z to make your M or Z. How do you go from M or Z? Well, these are the weirdest key combinations, but that's okay.
Right left to right-handed.
Yeah. All right. Oh, so this is kind of like a hurdle thing.
Yep. With horses.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
there's a little bit of a inertia thing going on depending on how fast you're going, right? So you may or may not.
Go, Dino. Go, Dino. Go.
Yeah, and every time you hit, you get the extra faults there. So if you clean jump, you'll get no faults. You might get 1 or 2 faults if you just clip the edge of it. But if you like really nail it, you'll get like 4 or 5. Per
Okay,
jump.
that's cool. All right, so now
This
how?
reminds me of you crossing the street at Chicago, actually.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Curtis, Stevie really fell on that.
Oh yeah, he was scuffed up pretty good.
Blue shoe. Whoa.
Now,
But
if the
not a bad little basic
if the
game. He's
horse
got some
breaks
pretty
a
decent
leg,
animation.
If the horse breaks a leg, do you get to put it down?
No, you feed it to the Beatles, I think.
Oh, this is a big jump here. Ooh, look at that.
I believe that's water. Jump over the.
Now I'm assuming this is written in BASIC.
Yeah,
it's good though. That's good.
Yeah,
for
he
a
did pretty
basic
good
game.
animation on the horse. It's not just like 2 frames alternating. He's actually got some.
Right. You have
decent,
qualified.
animation.
Yeah.
Qualified for the Table of Champions. Very cool.
Yeah, so that was a cool one. This
Ooh,
one here is called Sewer Rat.
Oh.
Found the sewer.
My
Love it.
Ooh, Phantom of the Opera. Double
Even knows
speed.
about the double speed poke?
How many traps? What level to start on?
This may look familiar if people saw the OS9 maze thing last week or the week before.
Maze game.
Okay. Now is this also in BASIC?
Yeah, with it's got machine language subroutines for the music, obviously, but
Yeah. Okay. So the idea is to get to the exit, which is the spiral, or no?
Sure. I didn't actually read the directions yet.
Because
Probably an exit of some sort. Yeah.
okay, but
I think the mouse drops off things you have to avoid too.
okay, or maybe
Or
you
the-
are
sorry,
the
the-
mouse. Maybe
yeah.
you're the mouse, and
Yeah, I
because
think
I was
you're
going
the
to say
mouse,
that little
actually.
yellow dude is obviously not trying to find his way out. Okay, so this reminds me of the Dracula game, right, where you had to drop crosses and stuff to
Yeah, Fangman.
Fangman, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Could
so
be.
basically, if you are the mouse, then I see where he's at right now. Oh, and the new bad guys are spawning over time. So the longer you wait, the more enemies you have to deal with. So he's kind of having to wait for that guy to get stupid. And so Neo likes the game. That was a meow of approval. Hey, they're getting smarter. Yeah. Okay, so that's neat. So you have to avoid the bad guys and exit the maze.
Sure, sounds good. I didn't actually get a chance to read the fine
Okay,
directions.
I like it. It looks cool. I like the music. All right.
Now this is a
Bean
two-parter
Software.
here.
All right.
How do you pronounce that? Shaolin?
Shaolin.
Okay.
Yes.
There's Shaolin Master, the first version, and then there was a Shaolin Master Plus, which added some new moves and some attempt at doing background music on a dragon as well while you're playing. So this is the first version.
Okay. So this is the minus version before we get to the plus version. All right.
And make sure
clear your criminal record while you're at it, Curtis.
Yeah. That's going to take way too long.
All that time you spent on OS9 has been a crime.
I'm sure Nick would agree.
Press enter to start the game. I'd like to order number 5, the spicy Szechuan shrimp, please.
Here.
Oh, neat. Oh, this is like Kung Fu Master. Okay. Dude, the animation's good.
Wow.
Look at
Yeah,
that.
it's better than any of the ones I saw on the
doing
Coco.
the foot. Oh, look at that. The skull. You dead bastard. Fight. Round 2. Fight. We can do the bad lip syncing like the old Kung Fu movies used to watch as kids, right? You can
I like the fact he splits his head open and bleeds when he falls too. That's
you
kinda cool.
bastard. You have killed my master. Now you must die.
Monkey.
He just falls down to the ground. Yeah, just dude, can you imagine just getting kicked in the foot and falling down dead? That's a lethal kick, man.
It's
And even
I
like
do that just tripping and going upstairs.
The headbands are kind of like flat, like moving in the breeze, you know.
Death foot.
Death foot. This guy's got this. He's got one killer move. Don't get anywhere near his foot because when he sweeps the leg, Johnny, you're down, man. So,
Yes.
Ooh, aerial jump. Ooh, and he still died. This is like playing on Call of Duty where somebody kicks you one time and you're dead. You shot him 400 times. He doesn't die. He kicks you one time in a melee for the win. So sweep the leg.
The mountains run with the blood of his victim.
Oh, yes. Sweep the leg. Sweep the leg.
Yeah, you're right. The animations are really good in this. Honestly, this looks better than like karate from Daikon.
Absolutely.
Even though it's lower res, technically. Anyway, do you want to see the sequel?
Yeah, let's see the enhanced version because this is pretty damn good. Ooh, look at that.
2.
Deathfoot 2. The Revenge of Fungus. So Shaolin Master Plus. An animated epic by Quick Beam's Dave Gibbons. Does anybody know anything about Dave Gibbons? This is really cool.
There was a Dave Gibbons that drew the Watchmen comic for Alan Moore back, and he was from England too, but I have no idea if there's the same relation. There we go.
Neo likes it.
I really like the cat added to the new version.
Dick Den, Dickie Spaceman.
And this was interesting. They actually have advertisements for all their other games
titles
in
from
this
Quick
game.
Print. Dickie's Den and Dickie Spaceman and 6809 Express.
And then for the adventure fans, there's the Shrunken Scientist.
Weirds of Kesh.
What?
Crikey, how many software do they make here? So it's beginning to look like an episode of CoCoTALK. Nothing but shameful plugs. So.
Yeah,
right.
A ton of them.
The credits.
All right, fast forward to the best part, which is
That's the plus side of it.
It's the plus side.
Yeah, plus ads is what
we've
they
added
meant.
so much more advertisements in this version. So yeah. Ooh, you can choose your color set. Number of
Is James Diffendaffer thanked in these credits?
All right. Round 1. Fight.
Oh.
Much different.
A lot choppy.
Yeah. The difference with this one is they added the word plus.
Yeah. Well, no, that's kind of like.
Well, you didn't be jumping.
It's kind of like Grabber,
the first
you know?
one, and then they tried to do the animation in the background a little bit too choppy.
I have a feeling if
looks like there's more,
if this wasn't on an emulator, it might be less clicking noise because I notice a lot of emulators can't handle the DAC too well.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Well,
Okay.
Ben Drake, since you're on the call, hopefully still, have you ever played this one on the Dragon? Like, is it smoother on real hardware?
I think I do have this on cassette, but I've only just got my Dragon working in the last week or so. I haven't got around to play on the real hardware yet.
Yeah, because this is definitely on the emulator. So if you want to try it, and just let us know in the future if it is any smoother.
I gotta
on the real
say
hardware.
though, the animation is great.
Will do.
Anyway, it's a pretty cool game. We never saw that one.
Absolutely. Oh, hey Ben, but since you're still here, I do have a question for you. When you wrote your game with the Beatles, did you write that like on a modern PC and then just kind of cross compile it over to the Dragon, or did you type it all up on the Dragon emulator?
No, I wrote it on a modern PC with Visual Studio.
Okay. Space Monopoly.
That sounded weird when you said when you wrote that game with the Beatles. Wow.
Okay. Game and player configuration. Enter your names. What's
Yeah.
your name?
So the game took me about 4 days to make. So it was really a side project because, my mum said she wanted to play Beetle. But I've been working on another game for a bit longer, and I'm not ready to show it off yet, but it should be a bit more interesting. It's a first-person game.
Oh, neat.
So I'll make sure that's another exclusive CoCoTALK.
Excellent.
A CoCoTALK exclusive.
Okay.
Yes.
What is this game you show? What the hell is Space Monopoly, Curtis?
Monopoly set in space,
It's
isn't it?
much like Monopoly. It's just in space. It's not called Park Place. It's called.
There's a whole bunch of options here.
The Park Space.
It's invaders, possibly from space.
Yes.
And it's got colors.
Yes. They sticky tape the hotels to the boards so they don't fly off.
Yeah, right. What the
What
hell's
it's doing
going
right
on
now,
here?
I have no idea. So.
All right.
It just
All right.
it was. I mean, the Coco had the same issue, or not issue, but the same thing done where the earliest games for the platform, like in the Coco's case, from 80 till 82, 83, there was quite a few commercial basic games, and then you started getting more machine language, and then eventually basic gets phased out because it just can't keep up. With it.
And even at that, a lot of the early machine language games were like 4K, base games and things like that.
And they
So
were just learning the hardware, so they're they're not, they flicker
Yeah.
like mad, the sound's choppy or whatever. So
Right. Well, you can't double buffer when you have 4K.
no, why don't you pick a really, really low res?
Yeah.
Okay. This one's called Snipper.
You can double
Sniper.
buffer the text screens.
Sniper.
Oh, look at that. Soft Joe's software. Please wait.
I was going to make a bad joke there, but I'm not going to because it's a family-friendly show.
Yes, the joystick controls the gun sight. You must destroy the targets which appear in the windows. The joystick button fires. So you begin your first novice or expert levels. Okay, so you have between 1 and 6. I love his little effect where the text kind of explodes onto the screen. Okay, so is this kind of like the short
One thing
or
I
long
noticed,
game?
the Dragon games tend to have more options than the North American ones too. Like they make
Yeah.
options like a big part of the whole
Yeah.
thing. Whereas here's like hit 1 or 2 players and you're done.
Okay, so this is a sniper game. All right. Now you have to move. Okay, I'm assuming his joystick is not going up, or is you shooting? Do you have to move just left and right, or you have to move up and down on this? Or does he even know?
Can't even remember now.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, so you kind of have to move it over the spot to shoot the spot. Shoot this son of a bitch. Come on. Yay!
There you go.
You got him. All right. Okay. Next.
So you're kind of moving your target sight basically is what you're doing.
So one of the comments last week too about the news was like, sometimes you're playing this clip too long, and I said, well, the reason why when you have me hosting is I've got a really short attention span, so you don't have to worry about the clips playing too long. So next clip, Curtis.
This game could do well by using that high res, no hardware high res joystick interface would be nice for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Or an actual phaser light gun like Dicom used.
Yeah. Software by Microdeal, copyright 83. Space Fighter by Microdeal Cornwall. Okay.
Yeah. This is a kind of a graphic Star Trek clone.
Okay.
From the
You're
Star
about
Trek
to
arcade
enter
game.
a hostile universe fleet of Krugons. Not to be
Can't get sued using Krugons.
Can't be confused with Klingons. They're Krugons. Krugons are those crunchy things that go in your salad. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And you're piloting the Starship Endeavor.
I'd like
of
some
course.
Thousand Island dressing to go with my croutons.
Yes, please. Would you like more details? No. Fast forward to the good parts, just like Mr. Skin. All right, Starbase. The Star.
And there he did
Krugon.
split screen text and graphics at the same time, which is a cool trick.
Oh,
that not
wow.
too many used.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially on those two modes. It's like. Okay. Local scanner, space charts, 197 Krugons. My goodness.
You're going to be busy.
You know what? I've found in my experience that it's best to let Krugons be Krugons.
More Krugons, the better.
God.
So basically a Star Trek clone.
Yeah. Yeah, we had one on the Coco 1 and 2 Space Wreck by Spectral Associates, but it actually had the 3D view as well as the 2D view like this does. So this restricts to the 2D view, but yeah, the gameplay is very similar.
Yeah, and now would that ship in the center of the screen?
That's you.
Right, you don't actually move. Everything else does.
Right, everything else moves around you. That's cool. Because we're not used to seeing space games in the green palette set either. So
yeah,
that's neat. And so the on the right hand side, the dark blue squares are where you've been on the map. So you're kind of like peeling back the layers of the universe that you've explored.
And I think the color lines within them, like yellow or green,
that's
think
like your quadrants, right?
Yeah, it
And
might
probably just dividing
dictate to what's
your...
in the spot, like if it contains aliens or whatever.
Oh, okay. I see. No, that's neat. Neat.
Snail pace. Racing snails. Be prepared to be amazed by the speed of this game.
Oh, look at that.
Oh.
Thrilling snail racing action.
No optimizations or accelerations needed.
But your snail winks, so it's awesome.
Snail pace.
That's that was the alternate title of the show.
David Lord, I appreciate the top-down approach to programming.
Does this load from tape?
Yeah, the computer will also suggest a winner or a number of possible winners. The snail or snails with the lowest odds of those.
So this is like horse racing, but slower?
snails, yeah.
But slower.
8 snails at once. Can you hold your excitement?
I hope there's a golf game.
Let's get to the graphical part of this. Oh, look at that. That's actually very graphical, and they're off. Look at this.
Oh, okay.
Actually, for snails, they're moving pretty quickly. All right, my money.
NASCAR go.
This doesn't have the 3D perspective, but they're sliding down hills.
Yeah. I'm gonna put my money on number 5, the underdog, right now. Come on, number 5 for the win.
Please no wagering.
Come on, number 5 for the win. For the win. Come on, number 5.
Number 6, I reckon will win.
Did I hear someone say, watch him escargot?
Yes.
Yes, that'd be me.
Yeah.
I'll go with number 6.
Oh.
Now one wins. All right.
Number 6 there just went
now
to
we're gonna
sleep.
get to number 2. Okay. What
I
do we
guess you
see?
just skip the top 3.
Results.
Messed up.
Snail 1. Snail 6. So I'm not even in the win place or show here. Okay. Well, listen, I put my money on an underdog. No returns in this race. That's cool.
Sam, we want to gamble in slow motion. There's your game.
There you go. All right.
Jim Morrison right there.
Got to get going, guys.
All right, Brian.
Hey, later, Brian.
All right,
Brian.
Got to see the doctor.
What's next, L. Curtis Boyle?
Is golf
I'll see you on the emails.
Snakes by Jim Morrison after he faked his own death and
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, he was the Lizard King. So he says ride the snake.
That's why he faked his own death. He wanted to become
Is this like
color
a
computer programmer.
Is this a centipede?
Bad doors.
sort of. It's a little different than.
Okay.
It's centipede-ish.
Yes.
It's like an annoying version of centipede.
There's
Kind
an
of like this is an
endorsement.
annoying version of a talk show.
Yeah.
Oh.
Roasted. Roasted.
That's positive.
Zing.
Get punchy.
Oh wow.
Usually, if I get that punchy, that's a sign this segment's going too long.
Yeah, right. No, that's cool.
Like, did
So what
Jim
happened?
Brain write that line?
Oh, so another
sorry.
snake came out. So if
Yeah,
you wait too
you
long,
get
more
multiple ones,
snakes
yeah.
come out. How do you kill the snake? Because obviously shooting it didn't seem to do much.
To
gotta
be
hit it
honest,
in the
this
head.
week I've been so busy I didn't get a chance. Usually I try to at least try to find the game
Yeah.
directions on the World of Dragon archive site, but I didn't get a chance to do any of that this
Is that
time.
a valid name? S.tile?
Yeah, I was
Any 8
wondering about
characters.
the
You can put
dot.
graphic characters if you want.
I thought the dot was to separate the extension.
Only on disk. Cassette didn't carry. You didn't have
Set
extensions.
file name, so you
okay.
could do a C save M
Right.
quote.
You could use, like you said, you could use ASCII characters and
Yeah, you could put in semi graphics if you wanted to draw a little yellow bar or something and call your program that too.
Oh.
right. Good luck loading it by name, though.
Yeah.
Sliding picture
Yeah, try
puzzles.
skip tapping that.
Ooh, I want to see Humpty Dumpty.
I have to go too, guys. I'll talk to you
All right,
later.
David, go ahead and enjoy your grease
Hey,
weasel.
David. Go weasel your way out of that one.
I was going to clear his criminal record.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So fast forward to a good part here, Curtis.
Okay. Well, this is you remember those sliding puzzle games you used to get in cereal way back?
Yeah.
This is kind of the same thing.
Ah, okay. So
Except with actual,
you even
shapes
get to
instead of
see
numbers.
what it's supposed to look like too, because one of the ones you showed us before too, it was just a jumbled fluster cluck,
Mess, yeah.
and you had no idea what it was supposed to end up being. So this one gives you that before and after. That's cool.
Yep, and there's multiple shapes, so you can play several different.
Okay,
sets.
well, that's neat. That's actually really well done for what it's doing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, next.
Okay, next. This is a Twitch person that actually has an old Coco One, just got an SDC for it, and she streams, random stuff. And she likes the Coco because that's a computer that I think her father had. Now, I'm not going to play any of the video here because there's a lot of swearing continuously.
Much like our show.
Yes, it's like watching Chet Uncensored.
Awesome! I gotta check this out.
But at any rate, she actually went through her favorite game on the Coco
Well, just
is
mute
Andron.
the speaker. Click on the little speaker icon to mute it, and then you can just play it.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll just fast forward until she's actually playing.
Okay. Oh,
So she's
Andron.
playing
Yeah,
Andron,
nice.
Which is her favorite game. But she tried a bunch of different ones here, and she does other consoles.
Okay,
and
and this
stuff
is
too.
obviously a real Coco. You can tell by the kind of composite.
Yes, a
look
real
of
Coco
that.
One with a Coco 2B keyboard, like the full travel ones.
Okay, is she playing the kazoo or vaping there? I'm not sure.
Vaping.
It's the new
He's
baby
vaping, I have no
kazoo.
idea.
All
but-
the kids are kazooing these days.
But anyway, she actually went on for what was it, about 3 or 4 hours straight playing
Wow.
Coco stuff. So,
Wow.
and she's done other Coco related videos before, but she didn't have the
We need to
SDC,
invite her
so-
on the show because we don't have any women on the show. So it'd be nice to really classen the show up.
And you wonder why.
Ron Delvaux, our publicist and public relations correspondent, can you reach out?
Reach out and touch. Huh?
That's it.
Yeah. And this was part of a gaming marathon she did. I guess she does this every once in a while. She played games online for 18 hours straight.
Wow, that's insane.
Various platforms. She did the Genesis, she did the Coco, etc. So
Vaping the entire time. I mean, I hate to be her lungs. Okay.
she was drinking beer too. So.
Drinking beer too. All right. So this is brought to you by the Bureau of
Evens things
Alcohol,
out.
Tobacco, and Firearms. Did she pop any caps in the air while she was playing it too? Or?
Anyway, there's some pretty cool gameplay in there.
What
and
is
she's
this
played some
person's
games that I hadn't
name?
seen
What is
before,
her
so-
name? Her name is.
Whoop Von Whoop is her handle on Twitch.
Okay. I would like to follow this person and reach out to them. Okay. Cool. Anybody who's doing stuff on the Coco is good as far as I'm concerned. Megabug.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Megabug.
Now this one here is Wayne Aaron did a play of Megabug. Now we did one of his. He played another game last time, and I can't remember which one it was off the top of my head. But he basically played the game that he'd first gotten on the Coco from his parents, and this is the second game that he received from his parents for his Coco when he was young.
Okay.
So he decided to play it in modern times. So I won't play too much of this because everybody knows what Megabug looks like, but I'm expecting he's kind of doing a historical journey through his childhood.
Sure.
Games
Wow.
he played, which is kind of an interesting take and way of doing it.
Oh, we even have some feedback here from Mark Overholzer about Whoop Von Whoop did Monster Marathon Games Steam Twitch, which include a chunk of Coco games from her new SDC and Coco 1.
These are just edits pulled out of the news
Okay.
file.
Now, why does this seem chunkier than it used to be? What's going on with this emulator?
I think it's
there?
just the capture or the emulation that was
Okay.
going on it.
Yeah,
It
it
seemed
runs
a little
better than
chunky.
that.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the last one for today is Rob Retro's Rambles. We've done a few of his before. He's always got that, he's got that funky lava lamp
with the
background.
lava lamp. Okay, very cool.
Now this one was
Oh, yeah,
fun.
yep.
This one was fun because Nelson Computer Systems and then later Softlaw / Color Quest, the guys who did Super Color Writer and that kind of stuff, eventually did VIP Writer. They had a game division called Color Quest, and they had a whole bunch of these 3D sort of arcade / adventure style games. Like they had the Adventure Trilogy, they'd be on the Simian Moon, Fembot's Revenge, and this is that particular one, Fembot's Revenge. But I have not seen any manuals for it. I don't have one. I haven't seen one on the archive. I don't know if anybody's found one or has one themselves. If you do, please upload it. But basically, it's very fussy on keywords and stuff. So watching him get completely frustrated while playing this was hilarious.
Okay.
I remember reading a review of this game on Dragon 32
Hello, you.
user, and
This is
he said it was very difficult to
Fembot's
play.
Revenge.
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit laggy on the keyboard. I
Fembot's
played it on the Coco
Revenge.
1 and 2, and I did figure out some of the commands in it. But
Which I know nothing about, but I just saw this name in a list of games and went, well, I've got to see what that's like. haven't I? So,
I love his
Makes
presentation.
perfect
I
sense to
had
me.
no idea.
Yes.
The tape is 1 minute 39
we'll
seconds,
skip the
and we are.
movement part here.
We've got to click. So I guess that's finished. Or hours left.
Okay.
Here
Now
you can
that-
see the wonderful
this
PAL
game.
artifacting.
Horrible artifacting.
What game
Oh,
is
I'm
this?
fine.
I remember this.
Fembot's Revenge.
It looks very similar to Beyond the Simian Moon, though, if you play that one
Something's
as well.
shooting me, I'm sure. I'm sure that's... Whoop.
Which is actually the first part of this series.
Yep, turn.
Yeah, I can't remember which one I played,
No.
but I remember one of these.
He never did figure out what these plus things are. They're actually up and down. There's an
I
X
think I
and a
shot
plus,
a
and one's
fembot.
up and one's down.
Hmm.
And then you've got doors that you got to open. A
killing
lot
me
of them are
on the
locked. You
bike,
need discs, different types of discs to open the doors.
it's a
And then
bit
there's just
slow.
pieces of equipment hanging around on walls and stuff you got to
There's a
get.
wall there.
What YouTube channel is this?
Kind of... What is this plus?
Geiger Punk. Giger Punk.
Link is posted now in the chat on YouTube.
Given that he's in the UK, it's probably a PAL.
Yeah, it is.
Thing
It is
that's probably
PAL.
doing. That's,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
that's,
this
that's
is
typical
normally
PAL.
proper artifact colors on a Coco 1 and 2, like red disc and blue disc for the artifact colors.
Yeah.
As
yeah.
to describe these,
Artifact
gross
looks really
purple, I
ugly
think.
on PAL. Yeah.
That open this door.
And that flickering thing is part of the PAL.
Kind of doom,
Is it
isn't it?
alternates lines.
Maybe figured out how to fire.
Doing much
But you can it's fun watching him because he gets really frustrated trying to figure out what the heck he's doing, what some of the commands are, and
Somewhat
then every once he has
frustrating.
that moment where he figures it out and he's just
But
elated
also
for 5
intriguing at the
seconds and
same
gets
time.
deflated again.
That sounds like Stevie.
Yeah,
quite
well, except
very
with a
basic
much
but
longer
I can
attention
kind
span,
of
at least
see
5
that.
seconds.
I can imagine.
What were you saying?
In my mind, still locked that door there.
Okay, cool.
There's one of the fembots there you get to shoot. That's real time. As is the real time clock in the upper right corner.
That's not a good one. That sounded
That little dot on the wall is a charger.
Did I get him?
But basically, you're wandering around this space station
Right,
orbiting
look.
some planet.
You see flash belt. Take flash belt.
So it's a hybrid.
Wearing belt now.
Hybrid text
No
and
idea what
graphics
that does.
adventure, huh?
Yeah, with some arcade elements, like the shooting the fembots, like I said, is in real time.
Wearing backseat. Doesn't say anything about wearing flash
So
belt.
it's kind of, I guess, a little bit Dagrath-y.
Okay.
Not as well done, but it wasn't a bad effort. It came out before Dagrath too. So
well turned, Dan.
At any rate, it's
Maybe
an
it's
interesting
my
game
keyboard.
if you
Maybe I
actually
shouldn't
can figure out all the commands. But if anybody out in Coco Land or Dragonland, for that matter, has the manual, please scan and put a copy up in the archive, because I don't think any of the Simian Moon Adventure Trilogy or the Fembot's Revenge are on there. They also had announced a releasement of another one in this series called Sentinel that was after Fembot's Revenge. I don't know if that one ever got released. I didn't have a chance to check to see if it's on the archive or not, but it was a series. And that is it for the Game On generic segment.
Very, very cool.
So, game off.
done.
Game off. Yeah. Cool.
Wax on, wax off.
Yeah, well, again, and I'm the statements I'm not going to make are not to disparage the feedback and constructive criticism we got on how we're doing the news and the games, but just to kind of also point out some of the positives. Like, because right now Curtis has shown us games we've never seen before, some of us, right? And the fact that we can sit here and talk about them, and in some cases make fun of them, do a little mystery science theater there too. I think there's some value added there too, in kind of showing some of these gaming videos. I like that you're showing me games I've never seen before, like that whole karate thing that we just saw, the Shaolin
Yeah, that one
thing.
impressed me.
I've never seen that before, so that's kind of cool. And again, it's kind of curating stuff. So I just think at the end of the day, we're going to do the best we can and always try to improve things and tighten things. And we want to encourage people to continue to give us that feedback, because it helps us get better, or at least lets us know what people watching the show are thinking about the show. We're not always going to agree with everything, but but feel free to let us know. You know?
So we're adding value? Is that what you're saying?
Well, you just did right there, Nick. You see
Okay.
what- you
And
see what
that
happened?
leads into our next segment called "Why You Are Wrong."
And Grant Leedy, are you out there?
Yes, sir, I am. I'm right here.
All right, welcome to the program, Grant Leedy. Glad
You're just
to have
a
you.
little late.
As we our last show of the year. We're glad you can be here, Grant. You've been a great part of the history of this show. Grant was one of our first co-hosts to ever do it, and Grant is the epic live streaming on the air. So many great moments, so many great memories.
Greg has many names, doesn't he?
Greg, sometimes known as Greg.
So many great streams.
So many great streams. So, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the show you guys did last week. I think you guys all did a great job kind of teaming up and taking the different pieces of the show and everything.
Well, you were the only one, Stevie.
Someone's got to like it.
Yeah.
Someone's got to like it.
No, we wouldn't have had a show last week. If,
Stevie's doing the pity, like I think it's called.
No,
I'm just
I
kidding.
really
it
did.
was
I
a pretty
really
good
did.
show.
And honestly, I even liked the fact that when the show was over, there was a post show. So you had Rob was playing games, and
that was an experiment, right? It was like the recap show on Howard Stern, or the fact that we always have a really great conversation the minute that after
we go
Stevie
off
gets
the air.
phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't make it on the show last week, so I was just hearing it spawn, sporadically as the day went on. Sometimes I'd join and chat for a bit, and then other times I'd be gone for half an hour. So,
yeah, I think the only thing that I tweaked on that was when I created the audio version of the podcast, I separated the post show from the show because I wasn't sure how well that was going to translate to audio, and I figured if somebody didn't want to hear that, they didn't have to, or somebody just wanted to hear that, they could do that too. So on the video podcast version, it's the whole episode, but on the audio, I broke it into the main show and the post show for audio. And I listened to both of them, and because I take all this input seriously. I want to hear it. So there was a lot of input on the news, and I listened to the whole show because I wasn't there for the show, and I listened to the show, and I don't really think it dragged too much. I think all the points were valid points, and we're obviously going to try to incorporate optimizations whenever we can, but listening to the playback, I didn't find myself saying, gosh, this is too long. I mean, it seemed okay for me.
Now, was that before or after you fell asleep?
So
yeah.
Well, it wasn't like anything else got cut. I mean, that was our content. We didn't have anything.
And that's the thing.
We had Bill Pierce, which was really good.
Bill Pierce was great. Now, so we've had people ask the question, well, maybe we should just switch our schedules, and maybe during the winter seasons or during the slow times, we don't do it as much. And we could do that, but I think the one time we didn't have a show and we didn't get a chance to communicate that, there were people out there wanting to watch the show. So I think in the sake of for the audience sake, we should always try to have a show, even if they're not all going to be, solid gold.
Well, I think
the numbers last week were good, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I think the point of that, though, is we didn't give people enough warning there wasn't going to be a show. So people were showing up because they just figured there was. So if there was going to be a downtime, like if everybody wanted a week off at Christmas or something like that,
if we
would warn people well ahead of time.
Yeah. Yeah. And we could.
And we could do it like some of the other professional podcast networks like Twit and stuff do, is that they'll pre-record special holiday episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So there will still be new content for people to see, and they can still discuss it in chat.
It's just not
but
live.
The host can actually have a day off type thing.
Uh-oh. Stevie's yawning. That means the show will come to an end.
Yeah,
Steve, are we going to do?
We are doing products and projects.
That's what we're going to do now. We're going to do product updates and acquisitions. But since we've just had a very long segment of gaming, we're going to run another commercial break here real quick. And I'm just trying to see. You know what? I can't get enough Nightmare Highway, so I'm going to run a Nightmare Highway commercial break, and we'll be back after these words with project updates and acquisitions.
Hi everybody, this is Siri, Apple's personal assistant and beatbox professional. You're watching CoCoTALK with the original gamer, Stevie Stroh.
You're off, Siri. I was here first.
We'll return after these announcements.
What's going on, everybody? Stevie Stroh, and I want to say thank you for continuing to watch and listen to CoCoTALK. We love doing this show. We think we put together a pretty good show for you, but this show could be better with your help. So if you would like to send a feedback, a comment, a suggestion, a show topic, or maybe even your own little segment or bumper, then send it to us via email to cocotalk@cocotalk.live. This show would be nothing without you. Love to hear from you.
This is Ken Reichert, author of Nightmare Highway.
Nightmare Highway.
And you're experiencing CoCoTALK?
As you start your journey to Coco Fest, you notice the road ahead is littered with rogue furniture. You realize you are driving on the Nightmare Highway.
Nightmare Highway.
The game for the Tandy Color Computer 1, 2, and 3. Nightmare Highway.
Nightmare Highway.
Stunning low-resolution visuals. Digital to analog converted sound. 100% machine language and basic. What are they saying about Nightmare Highway?
Nightmare Highway.
Steve B. York says, of all the games released this year, this is one of them. L. Kurt S. Boyle says, this will not be on my site. Nick Marionette says, crikey, look at the size of that croc. Get your complimentary copy of Nightmare Highway.
Nightmare Highway.
At canmakeit.com. If you got it for free, you paid too much.
Hey there, it's Andrew here with the Tandy Speech and Sound cartridge that I won from CoCoTALK Live. So next time, make sure to tune in. It may change your life.
Let the Radio Shack TRS-80 put the world of color computing into your home. Instant loading program packs turn any color TV into an exciting game arcade. And there's more. The color computer is an educational aid, a home management tool, and up-to-the-minute electronic information service. The programmable, expandable TRS-80 color computer from $399 only at Radio Shack, the biggest name in little computers.
Greetings, YouTubers. Atari Leaf here, and you're listening to CoCoTALK.
Radio Shack has a great gift idea for the whole family. Fast action TV games, and they're on sale. Get this 6-game model for $29.95 or the 4-game model for $21.95. With rising entertainment cost, that's a real bargain. You play hockey, tennis, squash, and more. Easy to hook up and great family fun that lasts all year long. The sale price TV games. Only at Radio Shack, a Tandy company.
We now return you to CoCoTALK.
And we're back. We're back for the least favorite part of the show, where we blab about things that nobody cares about. Unlike the beginning of the show that we blab about things that nobody cares about, the end is specifically careless.
How far along
The end is near.
on having, a game?
Fucker.
We were going to have a game at one point, weren't we? Sometime?
You mean the giveaway?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm going to make one more call out for that, Matt. I guess we can remind those who are watching us now. I was thinking about that. We mentioned this, I guess it was 2 or 3 shows ago, that we're going to give away a Coco 2 to a listener, a viewer, audience member. And the requirements were going to be, you can't have a Coco. We don't want you to just add it to your collection. So we want to give it to a good home for somebody who wants a Coco, who doesn't have a Coco, who would actually use it for some good reason. And
Like
send us an email on why you would like that. And we got 2. So we got 2 entries on that.
Does Ron's wife count as one of them?
No.
So we just need to flip a coin, is what you're saying.
Right. So since we have 30 people watching us live right now, and cats are not eligible, Neo, sorry.
Neo's complaining about that.
I hear Neo.
Paper, scissors, obviously.
Yes. So, if you would like a Coco 2 to be given away live on the air to you, send an email to CoCoTalk@CoCoTalk Live and tell us why you would like to get it and what you would do with it. So again, we're on the honor system here, and we're also going to add in a Joey Switch controller with that too, where you can switch between your joysticks. Tell us why you would like to get it, and tell us what you would do with the Coco.
Is there crying on Coco Talk?
Crying? No.
What would you do?
What would you do with it? Right. So anyway, so that's it. So, and then I'm going to also make sure I remind the patrons about that too, in a direct email to the patrons, in case any of our patrons do not own a Coco and would like one. And then we'll pick a winner live on the air. We'll probably do that next week for our beginning of the new year episode.
That will be awesome.
Yes.
So you got 7 days to get your entry.
7 days to send us a reason why you should win the Coco and what you would do with the Coco. All right. So updates and acquisitions. It's a Coco 2. It's a 64K Coco 2 with extended color basic, and it's in the box, and it's got a few manuals with it and a few extra accessories.
It is almost all you need.
Almost all you need. All right. Who's got an update or an acquisition they want to share with us?
I do.
Why when I go to speaker view, what am I doing here? I'm trying to go to speaker view right now, and I'm getting this. Why am I getting this?
That's cool.
Ooh, trippy.
It's a
Hey, man.
CoCoTALK Inception.
CoCoTALK.
I have hiding self view, show self view. If I go to speaker view now, I'm getting this. I don't know why I'm getting this. Somebody's screwing around with pinning something on their end, because I'm not.
Oh, hang on. What's going on here?
Anyways, who's got an update or an acquisition?
I got an acquisition.
Ron does, and I do.
Ron does.
I have an RCA TV.
Oh, hold on. Here's something that's screwing with me right now.
Sounds like a cat.
I think that's a kitty going.
I don't know what's going on here.
Oh, this is cool. I like this. Look at that go.
I can't get the normal view where whoever's talking is big. So I don't know why.
I want to be big.
I'm gonna.
There it is.
Yeah. Aren't you still screen sharing?
There we go.
Okay, what are you showing us there, Ron?
I have a TV that I got from Goodwill for $1.49.
Portable RCA TV.
That you can view snow on.
And I'm going to hook this up to a color computer, and I'm going to be able to just barely read what it says.
And is it a black and white TV?
No, it's color.
That's a color. I can hardly tell.
Look at that green bar.
Oh, I can't.
$1.49.
It's you can make a portable Coco.
Yes, this has channel 3 and 4 and UHF, and it also has AM and FM.
Now, what are the connections for it? Does it have like the 2 screw-ons for the
antenna? It has input for, which is what I'll be using, the 1/8" jack to RCA out from the
Well, how do you get a picture into it though? Does it have an input at all for
the input
RF?
is here. See that hole there?
That's an audio input though.
No, that's an input for an external antenna.
Oh, I gotcha.
You have to have the 1/8" jack, which I have up in my observatory.
Gotcha.
And then the other part fits into the back of the Coco.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
Is that a realistic?
No,
is that a realistic pocket vision?
No, it's an R and a C and an A. RCA.
Okay. It's not that realistic.
Oh, it's RCA.
No, the idea is that I've got a TV to hook up to my Coco, not so much that this is a Radio Shack item.
Okay, no, that's very cool.
Yep. Cool.
Magic Game says if Coco was a Game Gear handheld, that would be it.
Next year, I'll show you.
Next year, Ron's going for the next year's award for smallest display on a Coco.
Correct.
Okay.
I have an acquisition too.
Okay, John Lowry.
If you haven't ever seen one, this is what can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I was gonna say I can't see.
Circuit board with something on it.
Yeah, no, it's a Coco VGA.
Oh, yep.
That's the Coco VGA board. Your VDG goes here, and then it plugs into your VDG spot on your motherboard, and then this connector connects to this ribbon cable here, which leads off to this board here, which mounts to your Coco. It gives you the switches and the S video out, which goes through this cable to a VGA monitor. And there's the 1/8" jack for audio. Yep. And then also there's 2 methods. I guess there's one that's like a non-destructive method that Brendan came up with that, so you don't have to drill any holes in your Coco if you want to preserve it. But if you're like me and you don't care, you get a really nice
template.
Yeah, it's a template for You put it in the right spot, line it up with the channel 3/4 switch. You line it up there and kind of just tape it in place and use it to drill the holes for the mounting board for the the output.
Yeah, for the output.
Yep.
Yeah. The one I bought has got the 3D printed case for that.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
like
David,
an external.
Yeah, David Lloyd says it seems all methods are destructive, but they're not because it goes in line. So you don't do anything to your case if you don't have to.
Right.
I've got one right here.
Yeah. So
you can come right out one of the vents.
Yeah, well, it's basically
slots.
because it's a ribbon cable. You can just bring the ribbon cable out like through where your channel 3 and 4 switch is or anywhere else, and just have it there.
Right.
Which
Yeah,
is kinda what
I
I'm doing.
picked up one of these at Coco Fest.
Yeah, so that's the 3D printed case.
That's
for
a 3D printed one, and my Coco VGA is red. Someday I'll install it.
Ooh.
Mine is blue.
Hey, yours has more chips than mine too. I've got 2 quad flat packs on there, and that's it. Yours has.
Yeah, I've got the Doritos and the Tostitos chip also.
Yeah.
Well, there's differences between the two different generations of Coco VJs. One has the 512 color palette, and the other one has the 32,768 color palette too. So
That's the enhanced.
It's
one.
just the later version.
well, you just kind
of
of
the
snuck it
board.
in. The latest ones have the expanded palette.
Is that the ones that are called enhanced?
No, that's just a sticker you can put on your Coco if you want to say that your Coco has been Coco VGA enhanced.
Well, mine's definitely
Oh, yeah.
older. I bought this at Tandy Assembly 2018. So you see, I'm really on top of things of getting this installed.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Ron's got his card.
I still haven't fixed the RAM chip on mine. Talking to the community, I was trying to figure out what's wrong with this Coco 2 I bought, which I just figured, it didn't say anything about it working or not. It even said that it wasn't tested. And I'm like, it'll work. So I get it home and I turn it on and there's a bunch of zeros on the screen. And somebody in the chat room or on Facebook pointed out that the zeros are telling you that there's a specific RAM chip bad because it's trying to load all the spaces into the screen. And so that's working, except with the bad RAM chip, it's turning all the spaces into a different character, which were zeros. And by figuring out the ASCII for zeros 48, you can tell the 16-bit was getting set when it shouldn't be. And so it just kind of points out exactly which chip was wrong. And I go and look at that chip, and it had a pin. Looks like somebody physically took some pliers and broke one of the pins off the RAM chip. So I shorted it out by sticking a screwdriver in to short the pin back into, to make it, conduct again and just turn the machine on. And it turned on perfectly. So the RAM chip itself was actually good. It's just got a
broken leg.
pin.
Yeah.
So I ordered the chip for that and desoldering iron, and I'm waiting on that stuff. But when all that comes, I'll probably put a video together because I have a video for the unboxing of this here that I put on my YouTube page, and it's also on Facebook. But when I go to fix the RAM chip and install this, I'll probably make a video, hopefully.
Cool. Very cool.
But that's my acquisition.
All right. Who else has got an update for acquisition this week?
Yeah, I've got one. During a couple of weeks ago, actually, it probably was, another fellow Aussie coconut, Darren Ottery, up in Queensland near Nick. He got in touch with me and we had a really good chat, actually. It turns out he's a sound engineer and a musician as well as a coconut, so we spoke for hours on the phone. But during the conversation, he had 2 Coco 3s and he's never had a Coco 1, and he'd always been after a Coco 1. And I had one Coco 1. I had one Coco 3 here and 3 Coco 1s. And so he had the spare Coco 3. It just booted up to a green screen, didn't do anything. It had a fault. And he said, look, if you're interested, how about we do an exchange? He told me about the fault and all the rest of it. And I said, yeah, that sounds great to me. I'm actually after another Coco 3 that I can transplant into my Model 4 case. So that works perfectly for me. And I figured, well, I'll get the thing down here and fix it up, find out what the problem is and fix it. And my spare Coco 1 that I had here actually had a fault as well. It booted to a black screen. Turns out it was just the 6847, so I swapped it out and put a new 6847 in, and that come good. So I sent Darren my spare Coco 1 and he sent me his spare Coco 3. And I got the Coco 3 here and plugged it in, and sure enough, it did exactly what he said and booted up to a blank green screen. And so I tried resetting the gimme and resetting the RAM, and I thought, well, it's probably something like that. And that didn't do any good. And then I remembered, I thought, I've still got the 512K stock Tandy RAM from the one I added the 2 meg from Richard Lobieski. So I figured, I'll take out the 128K RAM out of this Coco 3 and put the 512K module in it and see if it comes up. And then I remembered all about the C65 and C66 capacitors that have to be cut. And I looked everywhere on it and I couldn't find them. And same thing when I did the 512K to 2 meg update on my other Coco. But because that already had the 512K RAM in, I didn't really have to worry about it because it had already been done. So I figured, well, I'll just, I couldn't find the capacitors anywhere and I couldn't find any documentation on the web. All I could find was about NTSC Cocos, and this is a PAL Coco 3. So I figured, well, I'll just stick the RAM in and I'll see what happens. It's not working now. I'll see if there's any improvement. And I figured, well, the worst that can happen is if I don't cut the caps, then it might get scrambled. The RAM might scramble after a while or whatever, but at least it'll tell me what's going on. So I took out the 128K chips, put in the 512K module, switched it on, and I was greeted with a good boot screen. And I thought, well, that's a good promising sign. Typed in the print mem command and it came up with the standard, the right values, and everything worked. And I thought, that's cool. So I'll switch it off and plug in my Coco SDC and load up something from that. And I plugged in the Coco SDC and it just booted up to the standard extended color basic prompt without any of the Coco SDC. And I thought, it must have something to do with these caps. So I thought, well, I'll dig out the service manual and I'll have a look on the schematic and see where I can find where the caps actually are, what they hang off. And I found them on the PAL version and the NTC version. They're still there. And it turns out they're on the PAL version, they're hanging off 2 resistors near the gimme chip. So I'll just switch over my cameras here. Go over to number 4. I've got another camera. If Neo will let me do this. There we go. So right here, now you can see there, that's the Coco 3 that Darren sent me. That's my old Coco 1 there with the Coco enhanced. Yep. And over here, that's the Coco that was running the Frogger. That's also got a Coco VGA. And that's my big fancy updated one that we all know about with Ron's
Coco Mech keyboard.
Ed's Coco Mech keyboard and all the fancy updates. Anyway, I'm getting off the topic here. Back to this one. I've got the lid taken off it. I'll show everybody here where that capacitor, those 2 capacitors are located on a PAL Coco 3. So if anybody else wants to do it, they'll know where to go. On this one, the gimme obviously is under the keyboard. So if we lift the keyboard up.
No, it's not obvious to
me.
The US Cocos, it's not. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is I'm making it obvious now.
Yeah.
So
okay,
if
so
we
there's the
zoom
gimme.
into the
Gimme that gimme.
There's the gimme. And just here off to the side of the gimme, you can see there C66 in between those 4 resistors.
Yeah. C66.
And C65 is just in the middle of my screen there, and that's already been removed.
Okay.
So C66, I just snipped the lead on C66 there and put it all back together and put the keyboard in.
Boom.
Fired it all up, and bingo, it worked. So that.
So now you got
Coco
now you boot
3,
up, and you can also run your cartridges like your Coco SDC and everything else.
Yeah, plugged in the Coco SDC, worked perfectly.
Right.
So, so the next step now, this is something I've been talking about, I've spoken about a few times on the show, is transplanting the innards of this one into that.
Okay, that'll be cool. And what are you going to do for a display?
Yeah, that's good. There's some 12.1 inch TFT LCD monitors that have got all the inputs and outputs that I'll need for it. So I'm going to get one of those off eBay and do that. Now the other small, or not so small, but another minor, something that's for the show is this thing here arrived. This is what I'm using to do all my fancy camera switching. These are normally like, several $1,000s worth. It's got all multiple inputs. It's got 19 inputs there. It's got 4 inputs there. You can plug anything into it, composite video, component video, computers, whatever. And this does all crossfades, dissolves, switching, fading, synchronization, the whole bit. So I've got...
comes in a 19-inch rack.
So I've got 3 cameras plugged into it at the moment. There's that camera. Where are we?
Yeah, nice rack there, David.
Your head's in the way.
Your head's in the way.
Oh, right. Okay.
Look at that camera.
Camera there.
Look at the lens on that baby, huh?
That's the Polycom. That's the main Polycom camera that's doing my mug shot. That's the pan tilt zoom one that I can control from the things. So yeah, that's they're my updates. And that I wasn't expecting this device to arrive until middle of the week, and Australia Post actually excelled themselves and delivered it this morning.
Wow!
So literally all still driven on solar panels.
Yes. And so I can just go back here and if I want to switch back to...
Well, you've got enough electronics in your house now to really give the sun a workout.
Yeah. So that switches back there to the other camera there, and you can see there in the... that's my setup there, overview of picture-in-picture. And then if I press that again, twice again, I can go back to O2, and that'll go back to the computer, back to the other Coco.
You got so many different video stuff in there.
I can do that and get rid of that altogether, and I can just have my Matrix background.
One of these days, you got to host the show.
Yeah.
Well, actually, part of the reason for getting all this stuff was because my computer isn't really super powerful, so I don't know whether it'll run OBS with all the extra inputs and outputs if I ever need to do it, to be a streamer or a host or whatever.
We can certainly try.
I figured this thing, I can use this and can connect Zoom to this and combine. I'm running OBS at the moment on my laptop, actually, so it is running.
Okay.
David, you know what's going to happen when you start broadcasting? That first day, you'll get one big cloud right over your place.
block out the sun, right?
Yeah, and the batteries will go flat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my the Coco one that I sent to Darren. Apparently, it arrived yesterday, so it's at his place now, and he's headed off to do some other things, so he hasn't had a chance to plug it in yet. But yeah, so another Aussie exchange, some Aussie coconuts.
That's awesome.
Trading is awesome, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
I love trading.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's great.
I used to do that in the lunchroom in school. Trade desserts, trade sandwiches, trade snacks, So.
One time I traded a laptop for a 1974 charger.
Wow.
Oh, you serious?
Yeah, really.
Speaking of that, so because I know Ron likes Mopar and likes Dodge. I was at a private collection where I saw some very rare Dodge vehicles. Some of them are like only 1 of 5 in the world of these things. So I'm sending Ron car porn. I'm taking all these pictures of the under the hood and the engine and everything else, and
it was good.
I'm texting him photos of all these Dodges.
Wow, look at this. It was great.
Yeah. Cool stuff. Well, thanks for sharing, David. Good. Always
no
heavy
problems.
heavy on the tech, man. Lots of AV gear coming from down under with David O'Connor. Thanks for sharing. Who else has got something?
Part of my passion.
Who else has got an update or an acquisition or something they want to share with us? Anyone? Is that it? Is that the end of our sharing? No more sharing? Nobody else has any updates on anything they've been working on?
Must have been before Christmas.
Oh, okay. Has anybody seen the new Star Wars movie?
Yeah, I saw
Not
it.
yet.
Okay, no spoilers, but the thumbs
No,
up,
yeah, I was just going to
thumbs down?
say that. Don't just, yeah.
Did we give it a thumbs up?
Yeah, I liked it. It's it was pretty good.
Okay, I give it a thumbs up. So
It wraps up things.
yeah, I give it a thumbs up.
Star Wars was actually the first movie I ever saw in a cinema in 1977.
Oh, wow.
I saw the original release.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
It's
My first Star Wars.
So Star
experience
Wars has got a
was,
special.
we saw it in a drive-in. So.
I guess.
Oh wow.
I guess I did technically get an acquisition. I got the Joey update.
With the labels.
Yes.
Okay, David Lord gives it a thumbs up. Thank you, David. And what about The Mandalorian? Has anybody been watching The Mandalorian on Disney Plus? Because they just wrapped up season 1.
I've been watching that.
And thumbs up or thumbs down, Grant Lady?
I would say thumbs up.
Thumbs up too. Yep. My biggest complaint about The Mandalorian was it was a little bit too. It seemed a little too family friendly, and it always seemed like every single episode kind of ended with a nice bow on it. You know, like they wrapped everything up every week after week and put a bow on the end of it. And so, but you know, I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but let's just say things get better as the season goes on in that regards.
I would agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But they seem to want to.
It was a little slow at first, I would say.
So you're saying they seem to want to like wrap up each episode?
Yeah, every single
by
episode,
the end of the episode.
Yeah, it seemed like every episode by the end of the episode put a nice little bow on whatever happened for that episode. You know.
I see a lot of Facebook memes of the Baby Yoda memes.
Yeah,
yeah.
Did they have the guy from Saturday Night Live sing Star Wars like he was?
Oh,
at
Bill Murray
at the lounge.
Wars, yeah. Nick Rivers
Nothing
and
but
Nick
Star
Winters.
Wars.
Yeah, nothing but Star Wars.
That was great.
Bill Murray's cheesy lounge.
Yeah,
singer
that's
routine.
it.
Yeah.
I remember when Return of the Jedi came out, people were so mad about the Ewoks, saying, "Oh, they're too cute," blah 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 blah. But now with Mandalorian, oh, Baby Yoda.
I know.
It's
So
like,
It's a little bit too much.
Oh,
now.
one other quick little thing I did forget to mention that I should mention is when Darren sent me the Coco 3, he also sent this.
Is that a high-res joystick interface?
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a Tandy high-res joystick interface. So I found out that for Coco Max, I need to do a resistor mod inside this and put a switch on it. So I'm going to do that.
Okay. Very cool. Well, we know Chet's project update is he's working hard on Digger 3, so we're looking forward to that being released, the final version. Very, very cool. Everybody good then? We're done with our updates and acquisitions. How about I roll the outro and then we'll have parting thoughts then?
Sounds good.
All right, we're going to roll the outro. This concludes another episode of CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color Computer. For all things CoCoTALK, visit us on the web at CoCoTalk.live. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to CoCoTalk at CoCoTalk.live.
CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world, keeping the Tandy flame alive. We may be mocked, but we'll never stop, 'cause CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world.
Consider supporting the show with a purchase of merchandise from our retro swag shop at 8bit256.com. If you'd like to become a patron of the show, click the Patreon link at our website at CoCoTalk.live.
CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world, keeping the Tandy flame alive. We may be mocked, but we'll never stop, 'cause CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world.
CoCoTALK would not exist without the community, its cast, crew, and contributors. Thanks go to Curtis Boyle, David Ladd, Mark Overholzer, Grant Leedy, Bruce Moore, Nick Marentes, Ron Delvaux, Rick Adams, Jason Reichert, Richard Lorbieski, Jim Brain, Tom C., Rob Inman, Mark Bosley, Brian Joyce, Ken Reichert, David O'Connor, Brian Weasler, Terry Steggy, Nick Marotta, John Strong, and many more, especially to Steve Bjork for production suggestions and James Diffendaffer for making my head explode. Please help support the Coco community by visiting some of its various contributors. A list of resources is available at imacoconut.com. That's imacoconut.com. The CoCoTALK theme song is copyright 2008 by D. Bruce Moore and Greg Sheeler. Mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore. Nick Marotta, Nick Marotta, Nick Marotta. Name so nice you must say it thrice. I want to thank everybody who's been out there in the live chat. Matchy Games has been out here. David Lord has been here. Mark Overholzer, Retro Innovations, and DeBruce Moore. And Mark Overholzer, David Lord, Mark Overholzer, David Lord, Matchy Games. James Games came by and said hi. And Terry Steen was out there, Rob Inman, and more DeBruce, and Nick Marotta, Rob Inman, DeBruce. We had Al Hartman. Al Hartman says, buy Digger 3, get Nightmare Highway for free. Right? That's great. Terry Steen, Rob Inman. On Facebook, Jim Gary was out there on Facebook. A lot of people. We've averaged 30 some odd live viewers. Oh, our good friend Wayne Campbell from California out there. Tim Franklin, Nick Marotta, Stricyak. Stricyak said hello from downtown Savannah, Georgia. Hey, Stricyak. And Terry Steen and Matchy Games and Terry Steen, and you know it. You were there. Facebook, Jim Gary. Am I missing anybody?
Apparently you missed Retro Innovations.
Retro Innovations, yeah. Dave and Sharon Very were out there. And Al Hartman. Nick Marotta, I think so. Wayne Aaron said hi,
Anybody
everyone.
really get me?
No.
Amigos Retro Gaming.
Amigos Retro Gamings was out there. And then on the panel still, we've got David O'Connor and Mark Overholzer and L. Curtis Boyle and Chet Simpson and Ron Delvo and John Lowry and Nick Marotta and Rob Inman, Jason the Coco Man Reichert, Ben Drakes from Explore VR. Thanks for joining us. I know it's later for you there in the UK, and thanks for sharing with us your first ever game. It was a pleasure sharing that with you. Grant Leety is here. I have been your host, Stevie Stroh, and I want to thank all of you guys every week for coming together and making this my best part of my week. And I want to thank everybody who watches our show and who listens to our show. And that's it. Parting thoughts, final words. David O'Connor.
Parting thoughts. That's I don't know. I can't think of anything. I can't think of anything to possibly top David Ladd.
All right, just say pass. Just say pass. Okay, so he's going to pass. Mark Overholzer, this is your chance to steal. Any parting thoughts?
6502 forever.
6502 forever. Boo!
Get a rope. Get a rope.
Get a rope.
Bring him up. Bring him up.
All right.
Glad to be here. Always.
We're glad to have you, and your golden microphone is really, really nice. So, L. Curtis Boyle, parting thoughts.
Looking forward to all the new hardware and software releases coming out in 2020 and the 40th anniversary of the Coco at Coco Fest.
Absolutely. Chet Simpson, parting thoughts.
Yeah, eat your vegetables.
Eat your vegetables. Ron Delvo, parting thoughts, words of wisdom.
Well, we used to have sound effects during the show, but we don't have those anymore.
I will try that next.
Sadly.
I'll try to get the soundboard going.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
That's
so
my thought.
Parting thoughts are try to bring the soundboard back. Okay. John Lowry, parting thoughts.
Well, as we close out 2019, this is a challenging year for me. Looking forward to 2020, and with my health back in order, I'd like to make it out to Coco Fest, Tandy Assembly, and those kind of things. And just Happy New Year to everybody, to the whole community.
Excellent. Well, great words there. Rob Inman, the host with the most. Any parting thoughts from you, sir?
Gimme X.
Gimme X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gimme my Gimme X.
That's right.
Yep. I second that.
Jason Reichert, any parting thoughts as you're driving off to destinations unknown?
Destinations unknown. Yeah, I will say Happy New Year from CocoMan.biz.
All right, shameful plug. Grant Leedy.
You're on the wrong side of the road, Jason.
Going the wrong way.
Be careful.
Thank you.
Grant Leedy, any final thoughts
That
and
sounds
final words
like
from you,
intentions.
Grant Leedy?
Yeah, I'm going to make a New Year resolution here on the show that I will not have any live streams next year.
All
No,
right.
he'll pre-record them now.
Yeah, they'll be pre-recorded streams. Ben
No,
Drakes.
happy New Year, everybody.
Thank you, Grant. Ben, thanks for being here. You know you're always welcome, so feel free to jump on at any time. But any final words from you in the UK?
Oh, just thank you again for playing my game and having me on here again. And I look forward to sharing more Saturdays with you in 2020.
Excellent. Well, you're always welcome. And invite the rest of the Dragon folk, too. They're all welcome. You guys are always welcome to come on here. And I love seeing some of these Dragon games and just hearing about our cousin. Dragon is our cousin. So it's beautiful. And I saved the best for last. I saved the best for last. So
there we go.
Nick Marotta, you get 3 parting thoughts and words. So
Okay, well, this will. I started off 2019 with no Coco stuff, so thank you to the community for helping me get back into having real hardware and new enhancements, and it's been a really, really great, really great spending time with you guys every week and through the week, and it's been a real blessing in my life. So thank you very much.
Okay.
So in other words, we're a bunch of enablers.
We're a bunch of enablers. So thank you for helping me get new stuff. Thank you for making me spend money on new stuff that I shouldn't be spending, and thank you for.
Okay, there you go. And thank you for the hair, Nick.
Yeah, one day I'll get it cut.
Yes.
Especially now that it's longer than Curtis.
And Salvador Garcia is saying he can't post in YouTube's chat. I am not sure why, Salvador, but we'll investigate that. Let me know what your YouTube screen name is. I'll make sure somebody didn't accidentally mute you in a previous time, because we do have moderators that try to mute people who are spamming or being inappropriate. So we'll have to see it. Make sure you haven't been blacklisted on accident. In any case, we're going to press the button now and end the show. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody.
It was a great year.
It has been a great year.
Yeah,
thank you, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we are pressing the button.
Happy New Year. There's my parting thoughts.
There you go. Happy New Year. Okay, say
Happy
goodbye,
New Year.
everybody.
Happy New Year.
Bye,
Next week, everyone. See you next year.
Bye.